Noah is shocked to discover the unacceptable behavior of her subordinates. Their ridicule sends her into a tizzy. The atmosphere instantly becomes tense as she turns to Ritoki Anus, whose silence seems reproachful. Ritoki Anus teases her with a sarcastic remark, hinting at her excessive seriousness. His calm manner only fuels the fire of her anger, forcing the girl to engage in a verbal confrontation. Noah, holding back her emotions, decides to draw Ritoki Anus out into frankness. She angrily grabs him by the collar, demanding an explanation for his behavior. Her rage mixes with her inner conflict, creating dramatic tension. Ritoki Anus responds with a slight smile, showing his indifference to what is happening. His sarcasm reaches its peak when he points out her hobby, excessive emotionality, emphasizing the contrast between them. Seeing his carefree behavior, Noah firmly declares her determination. She is no longer willing to put up with his attitude, which emphasizes her strength and determination. Their argument turns into a personal duel of characters. Ritoki Anus continues to joke with ease, causing Noah to explode with emotion. She senses that his words are a deliberate provocation and is ready to take extreme measures to preserve her pride. Noah removes her badge, indicating that she is ready to resign her position. Her actions shock her subordinates, who were not expecting such a drastic turn of events. Ritoki Anus watches her decision with concern, hidden behind a mask of calm. His gaze betrays his inner doubts, despite his outward calm. She declares that she is no longer a captain. Her determination hurts Ritoki Anus, but he does not show it, only silently accepting her decision. Each of them realizes that what happened has changed their relationship forever. The tension is in the air, foreshadowing a new turn in their story. Noah, her eyes burning, declares that she is no longer her subordinate's boss. There is a challenge in her words, as if she has tolerated something unforgivable for a long time and is now ready to change the rules of the game. Dressed in an immaculate military uniform, Noah urges him to remove his formal insignia and engage her in combat. Her anger and urgency are evident in her tone and movements, as if this is a personal confrontation. The white-haired man, Ritoki Anus, smirks back. His words, full of sarcasm, turn Noah's aggressive challenge into an almost romantic gesture. He expertly avoids her anger by hinting at his superiority. Ritoki Anus accepts the challenge with a graceful smile. His calm contrasts with Noah's emotionality. He seems to enjoy the situation, and his aristocratic bearing only emphasizes his confidence. A little girl runs up happily with something important in her hands. Her innocent smile and happiness illuminate everything around her. She turns to Noah, showing him the find, which is obviously of great importance. The girl suddenly throws herself into the arms of the woman who had just tried to hold her back. Warmth and care shine through in these moments, as if they had known each other for a long time and were sharing common experiences. The woman, identified as Mrs. Clara, is surprised by the girl's haste. She wants to understand the reason for such zeal, but the girl insists on showing her what she has found, emphasizing its importance. The newspaper depicts a portrait of Ritoki Anus. The girl, realizing that this man is the legendary lieutenant general, begins to connect the stories she has heard with reality. Her gaze reflects surprise and admiration. Remembering her sister's words, the girl shares her opinion. She notices that despite Ritoki Anus's outward attractiveness, his character is disgusting. This contrast between appearance and personality leaves her confused. She tries to figure out whether it is worth remembering such a person, because his actions and words leave contradictory impressions. This sums up her thoughts about him. Noah, holding a newspaper, proudly tells Ace about the pirate gang's exposure. She surprises Ace with her knowledge of complex words, which causes Ace to admire and bewilder her a little. Noah happily points to the article, trying to emphasize her importance and knowledge. Noah recalls her school lessons and boasts of her success. Ace, laughing, confirms that her charge is the smartest in the house. A joyful atmosphere filled with pride and trust reigns between them. Noah eagerly awaits her grandmother's arrival, dreaming of the gift she was promised. Her face lights up with anticipation, and her thoughts fill with rainbow fantasies, increasing her joy and excitement. Noah notices an unexpected guest on the horizon. A girl in uniform with luggage attracts attention. Ace, surprised by this visit, immediately stands up for defense. Noah, amazed, joins in on the action. The stranger, who turns out to be the sister, introduces herself. Her appearance in military uniform makes a strong impression on both of them. They try to understand the reason for her unexpected appearance. The guest looks exhausted and asks for water. Noah and Ace are concerned about her condition. They immediately take control of the situation, helping her cope with her fatigue. The Ace brings water and asks questions about the reason for the visit. The guest thanks him for his care, but her secret remains undisclosed. The tension in the conversation is felt even through caring gestures. Noah anxiously asks if her appearance is connected to the loss of her job. This causes slight confusion in the stranger, who explains the situation evasively. The guest admits that she left her job of her own free will. She tries not to show her emotions, but her determination is evident in every word. Ace and Noah are stunned by her confession. Both girls are amazed by what they hear. Their surprise is emphasized by common exclamations and an atmosphere of misunderstanding. The guest remains a mysterious figure, which increases the intrigue and anticipation of further developments. Noah, despite being close to a long-awaited promotion, left her post, which caused great surprise to Ace. The girl looked at her with incomprehension, while the younger sister, happy with her return, hugged Noah with genuine joy. Ace, worried about the consequences, reminded Noah about the possible reaction of the owner, who would clearly be displeased with this action. But Noah, maintaining her composure, noted that they had a more serious problem that needed to be solved immediately. Noah stated that the most important thing now was to avoid danger, because otherwise they would all be in danger of death. Ace was shocked by her words and asked a direct question, wondering why things were so bad. Noah explained that if they didn't make it in time, they would be overtaken by a mad dog. Ace asked anxiously if they were talking about the lieutenant general, but Noah just waved it off, deciding to leave the explanation for later. Grabbing her sister in her arms, Noah ordered Ace to urgently bring money and clothes. The girl was confused by the sudden order, but quickly agreed, realizing the seriousness of the situation. Noah, running away, mentally cursed the crazy dog, who was the cause of her current troubles. Her determination and anger forced her to move forward without looking back. As she fled, Noah thought desperately about how crazy the situation was. Her sister, not yet fully understanding what was happening, looked at her with concern and trust. In the midst of the tense moment, Noah began to make plans. She considered whether to hide in the most remote villa or go to her grandmother on the ship to be completely safe. Their escape was suddenly interrupted by the sound of an approaching vehicle. Noah became wary, realizing that time for reflection was running out and action was needed immediately. Noah was sure that their pursuer had gone crazy. She glanced at her sister, determined to protect her at all costs, and sped up her run, determined to find a way out of the situation. The morning began calmly, but the only one to disturb this idyll was Lieutenant General Ritokianis, who drove up in a spectacular manner in a bright red sports car. His confidence and stylish appearance immediately attracted attention, creating an atmosphere of surprise. Noah and the little girl watched, clearly stunned. She couldn't figure out how he had gotten there so quickly. The surprise on their faces only added to the intrigue of the situation, making the moment tense. Ritokianis stepped out of the car, holding a huge bouquet of red roses. His words sounded like a declaration. He had come to collect his bride. It sounded so confident that it left no room for doubt as to his intentions. Noah stood there, confused, trying to comprehend what was happening. The reminder of the pact they had made earlier sounded convincing. The beauty of the moment was enhanced by the flowers and romantic atmosphere, creating the perfect stage for confession. It had all started an hour earlier, when Noah had demanded that Ritokianis remove his badge of rank and engage her in a fair duel. Her determination and pride made the demand entirely justified. The meeting between them was tense. Looking into each other's eyes, they silently measured their strength. Ritokianis' aura radiated calm, but at the same time, his gaze spoke of complete confidence in his victory. At this time, their comrades were watching from afar. Their doubts and fear of possible consequences added drama to what was happening. None of them dared to intervene, understanding the seriousness of the situation. One of the officers, trying to comprehend what was happening, voiced his concerns. The risk of losing his reputation seemed real to Captain Noah, and he was torn about whether to support her actions. The comrades turned to a more experienced officer, who upon hearing Noah's name immediately identified her as a person of exceptional bravery. His confidence in her victory calmed those around him a little, although the tension in the air remained. Noah was recognized as a worthy opponent, and Ritokianus, with sincere respect, confirmed her greatness. This was the beginning of a new stage for them, full of mutual respect and recognition. Noah, dressed in a strict uniform with golden epaulets, demonstrates strength and fortitude. Her blue eyes are full of determination, and her confident posture with a sword in her hands inspires respect. She is a steadfast captain who does not tolerate injustice and is always ready to fight for the truth. One of the officers sarcastically remarks that Noah is like a mad dog in his anger. His tone is tense, heightening the atmosphere of latent menace. The young captain's anger and determination are obvious to all present. The situation becomes even more tense when another officer tries to explain the current events. His calmness contrasts with the tense atmosphere, as if he is trying to avoid an inevitable conflict. Noah, on the other hand, is not going to give in. Her focus and determination are clear in her eyes. There is a sense of impending battle in the air, and her rage like a fire is burning hotter and hotter. Noah's inner monologue reveals her willingness to fight to the end. Even if she decides to retreat, the anger inside demands action, and only a blow can calm the storm of emotions. Her determination becomes indomitable. Ritokianus observes her behavior and notes her seriousness. His calm but insightful retort sounds like a challenge, confirming that he is ready to accept any outcome of this encounter. Tensions reach a peak when Ritokianus demands a sword. One of the lieutenants, fearing a possible conflict, offers a wooden sword, trying to defuse the situation. However, his anxiety betrays his fear of the upcoming event. The lieutenant general dismisses the idea with a grin. His calm but unyielding expression makes it clear that he expects real weapons, not children's toys. His confidence underscores the inevitability of battle. The lieutenant, losing his composure, tries in confusion to figure out what exactly is required of him. His panic underscores the tension flaring between the parties, and the upcoming choice becomes fateful. The appearance of the mass sword is awe-inspiring. Its majestic appearance and radiance symbolize strength and determination. With this legendary weapon, the outcome of the battle appears as a moment that will change the balance of power forever. Noah turns to Ritokianus with a worried, confused look in her eyes. Something of great importance has thrown her off balance, and her voice is shaking with tension. She hurries to convey her words, waiting for a reaction from the lieutenant general, who remains calm and cool. Noah, flushed with embarrassment, quickly retreats. Her gaze is downcast, clearly distressed by a mistake or awkwardness. Ritokianus, despite her confusion, merely watches, remaining unperturbed. She hurries away, perhaps to rectify the situation. Noah's mind is filled with worry, wondering how she could have let this happen. The thought of possibly losing a key ally or friend fills her with sadness. Meanwhile, her rapid footsteps echo in the empty training yard. She is lost in her thoughts, realizing how difficult it is to understand Ritokianus's character. He seems unpredictable and dangerous to her, like a mad dog. These thoughts add to her anxiety, but Noah is determined to figure out his true intentions. Ritokianus finishes preparing his sword. His confident and cold gaze contrasts with Noah's inner doubts. For him, a weapon is just a tool, but his actions seem symbolic, leaving questions in her heart. The lieutenant general approaches Noah and offers to start the conversation over. His voice is calm, but there is a note of expectation in it. Noah, gathering all his will, stands in front of him, realizing that this moment could be decisive in their relationship. Ritokianus hands her the sword with unexpected kindness. The gesture leaves her confused, even disconcerted. Her heart skips a beat. She doesn't understand why he's doing this, but she senses the importance of the moment. Noah wonders why he chose her for such a symbolic act. Her gaze is filled with questions and emotions. She tries to understand the hidden intentions of Ritokianus, who seems to reveal his sincerity to her through this act. He states that he understands her hatred, but does not believe that she would go so far as to harm him. His words carry a hidden message. He hopes that her hostility will subside, and their alliance will be strengthened in battle. Ritokianus's gaze softens as he admits that he has never considered killing an ally who is willing to fight by his side. His sincerity penetrates Noah's heart, causing her to reconsider her attitude and look at their relationship in a new light. Noah clenches her fists, looking down at the ground. A storm of emotions is building inside her. Indignation and determination. She can no longer stand Ritakianus's smug grin. The desire to wipe it off his face becomes all-consuming, pushing her to take a bold action. The situation leaves those around her surprised and confused. Their looks express shock and bewilderment. They discuss the sudden change in Noah's behavior, whispering whether she has lost control of herself. Ritokianus, with his unfailing cool smile, accepts Noah's challenge. He playfully interprets her words, making everyone tense up even more. His calm fuels her resolve, despite her growing doubts. Ritokianus's gaze turns serious. He hands Noah the sword, as if giving her a chance to prove her strength. His eyes sparkle with confidence that he is in complete control of the situation. Noah accepts the offered sword despite her inner tension. She agrees to his condition. The loser must fulfill the winner's wish. Her voice is firm, but her gaze betrays concern. Clutching her sword, Noah remembers her grandmother's words about gambling being addictive. Her mind warns her of the risks, but her heart tells her to go all the way. She feels the weight of her choice, but she decides to continue. Ritokianus assures her that his wish will be reasonable, but his red-eyed gaze and calm smile are alarming. Noah realizes that he plays by his own rules, but her determination does not weaken. A crowd of spectators gathers around Ritokianus, reminds Noah of the many witnesses present, spurring her into action. Her hesitation is momentarily silenced by the weight of his words. Noah grips the hilt of her sword tightly, knowing that her chances of winning are slim. A voice inside her screams that she risks losing. However, her pride does not allow her to retreat, forcing her to move forward. She raises her sword, ready to strike, her eyes burning with determination. Despite her fear, she is not going to miss this chance. Noah understands that now she can turn the tide of the game, proving her strength and courage to everyone. Noah, full of determination, spots a chance to teach Ritokianus a lesson. Her blue eyes glow with determination as she ponders how to do it effectively. Her internal monologue is animated by the desire to punish him for some past wrong, which awakens a mixture of anger and excitement in her. Ritokianus, entering the conversation, ironically clarifies what she means by corporal punishment. His cold smile only increases the tension between them. Noah looks a little confused, but does not give up, although her confidence is beginning to waver a little. Ritokianus suddenly softens his tone and reminds her that they are engaged, that he cannot afford to treat her cruelly. His calm and romantic reminder confuse Noah, but she quickly returns to her fighting spirit. After a tense duel, the outcome of which is a foregone conclusion, Ritokianus declares victory. His wish is loud and clear. He wants Noah to accept his proposal of marriage. The sudden romantic turn takes everyone by surprise, including Noah herself. The scene changes to the reaction of Noah's sister Clara. She is stunned by what is happening and anxiously asks how this happened. Noah feels awkward under her gaze, unable to find the words to explain what is happening. Clara reproachfully asks what advice their grandmother gave them. Before leaving, Noah recalls the important words, trying to justify herself, but she looks clearly taken aback. Clara firmly reminds her to follow the advice, adding comic relief to the scene. Clara continues to scold Noah for her frivolous behavior. She reminds her of the ban on intimacy with men, gambling, and alcohol, which puts Noah in an even more awkward situation. However, there is a hint of regret and shame in her expression. Ritokianus, observing the family drama, approaches with roses in his hands and an official look. The situation becomes even more confusing when Clara, in a panic, asks questions about Noah's future, her age, and her ability to survive in such a union. In the midst of the argument, Clara loses her patience and criticizes Noah for her mistakes. Noah picks up his sister in an attempt to calm her down, but their interaction is more like a funny argument than a serious conversation, adding humor to the tense situation. In the end, Clara, still dissatisfied, forces Noah to apologize and admit his mistakes. The scene ends with Noah holding back his emotions to calm his younger sister, demonstrating their close, albeit turbulent, family bond. Ace meeting. Ritokianus anxiously tries to ask a question, sheepishly apologizing. Her anxiety is noticeable, and behind her, Noah and Clara are animatedly indignant, bringing their own chaos to the situation clearly unhappy with such a sudden contact. Ace dares to clarify the rumors, asking about Ritakianis's upcoming marriage to the younger mistress. There is doubt and caution in her eyes, but curiosity wins out. She feels the tension, waiting for an answer. Ritokianis calmly but firmly confirms the rumors. His serious tone surprises and perhaps even annoys Ace. She is taken aback but tries to maintain her composure, although emotion is visible in her eyes. An indignant Noah, holding Clara in her arms, intervenes. She accuses Ace of being too familiar and demands more respect for her younger mistress. Noah's anger is expressed in her harsh words and protective posture. Ace, in response to the accusations, justifies herself with a slight smile. She explains that when she saw Clara's simple dress, she mistook her for an ordinary servant. Her words sound joking, which further irritates Noah, who defends Clara's status. Ritokianis suggests that Ace call him sister-in-law, causing confusion and protest from Noah. Ace is unexpectedly happy with this proposal, openly showing his enthusiasm and admiration. Clara and Noah are completely bewildered. Their reaction is a mixture of shock and categorical rejection. They shout that such familiarity should not happen. The situation becomes increasingly tense. An irritated Noah demands that no one dare call Ace sister-in-law. The scene transitions to a flashback, where Noah expresses her confusion over Ritokianis's behavior, wondering why he is acting so out of character. Ritokianis remembers Noah's accomplishments with kindness and confidence. He notes her successes, graduating from the academy, her rapid rise to captain, which makes him proud and respectful of her as a soldier. His words end with an inspiring confession. He sincerely says that he sees Noah as a reliable and outstanding warrior. The scene is enveloped in warmth, emphasizing the respect and trust that Ritokianis has for her. Ritokianis is brought before a council of elders who assess him, discussing his character. Despite his arrogance and harshness, they acknowledge that he does not tolerate injustice, especially when it is directed at the innocent. His stern gaze and confident demeanor suggest a strong personality. Noah, turning to Ritokianis, questions his revelation, not understanding how it relates to her. He responds emotionally, explaining that his feelings for her are more than just a passing fancy. Against a backdrop of bright red roses, he confesses that he has fallen in love with her. Ritokianis, aware of his own shortcomings, is frank about his bad temper. He admits that he enjoys making sarcastic jokes and provoking others, and that he joined the army for one purpose: to laugh at his superiors. Noah listens, stunned by his honesty. Clara, observing the dialogue, asks Ritokianis a straightforward question. Why does he, being so unpleasant, live alone? With her naive remark, she causes slight bewilderment among the adults, but at the same time adds a touch of humor to the tense situation. Ritokianis continues his conversation with Noah, admitting that her presence has made him rethink himself. He admits that being around someone as bright and dazzling as she is has made him realize how petty and cruel he sometimes is. Clara comments on Ritokianis's words, noting that his confession sounds more like a confession than an expression of love. Her surprise and admiration mingle, adding warmth and sincerity to the overall dialogue. With a peaceful garden as a backdrop, Ritokianis gives Noah a bouquet of roses, attempting to express his feelings. Clara, witnessing this moment, happily invites Noah to talk to him first, encouraging them to sort out their feelings. Ritokianis jokes about how Noah's sister Clara has become his sister-in-law, implying that she wants to be closer to Noah. This makes her smile, slightly easing the tension between them. Ritokianis makes an attempt to be completely honest, asking Noah if she truly believes his words. Their conversation deepens as they each consider the truth of their feelings. The dialogue ends with a touch of humor. Ritokianis asks if he seems genuine, and Noah answers affirmatively without hesitation. Their sincerity opens the way to a warmer, closer relationship. Noah, in a strict blue uniform with gold epaulets, scolds her interlocutor. Despite attempts to joke about a serious topic, she emphasizes the importance of respect and boundaries. Her gaze is pierced with determination, which emphasizes the strength of her character. Noah's inner reflections on Ritokianis's true motives reveal her doubts. She understands that there is more behind his outward actions, but refuses to believe in superficial judgments, demonstrating a sarcastic attitude towards her thoughts. While in a moment of contemplation, Noah suddenly remembers the information she was told. It is said that Ritokianus likes her, but she dismisses this thought as absurd, not allowing her feelings to confuse her. Her gaze becomes cold and penetrating. Ritokianus, in an elegant light suit, appears surrounded by flowers. His confident expression and charisma puzzle Noah. She internally resists his magnetism, convincing herself that she will not believe his words, no matter how beautiful they are. Noah admits that she rejects Ritokianus's confession. She thanks him for his sincerity, but emphasizes that she never looked at him the way he probably hoped. Her confusion betrays her uncertainty, though she tries to hide her emotions. In response, Ritokianus notices the expression on her face. He notices that Noah is lying to herself, giving it away with her small gestures. His confidence heightens the tension between them, making her think twice about his words. Ritokianus looks at Noah fondly, claiming to know her habits better than anyone else. His admission that he has been watching her for a long time confuses and thrills her, deepening their emotional bond. History moves into explaining the events of the past. The Magic Tower, as a symbol of cultural and technological revolution, changed the course of history. It was a place where magic and science merged, creating an era of progress. The current head of the Magic Tower is revealed to be the man who made these changes possible. His appearance reflects the wisdom and strength he has gained by guiding the world's development in a new direction. The scene emphasizes the importance of the magical tower in their destinies. It not only connected their paths, but also became a symbol of hope and change around which their lives, and the secrets that they are about to unravel, revolve. At a time when the combination of science and magic almost led to a catastrophic crop failure, the efforts of scientists and magicians saved the fields. Golden ears of grain swayed under the sky again, and the light of hope shone among the people, proving that harmony between technology and magic is possible. The real revolution began with the invention of the automobile, which used mechanical power instead of horses. This achievement became a symbol of progress, inspiring people to new discoveries. A young couple captivated by speed felt free rushing forward. New developments in energy and weapons dramatically changed the face of the army. Engineers introduced magical technologies to create powerful and effective weapons. Training in military academies became increasingly in demand, strengthening the country's potential. After significant reforms, the kingdom granted the title of Duke to the Yahello family. This alliance between the mages and the royal power led to the unification of various families, who through their combined efforts sought to revive the country and strengthen its future. The royal power was greatly strengthened by the alliance with Yahello. The military administration was reorganized, and most of the army came under the direct control of the monarchy. Each step of the reforms emphasized the importance of wise governance. The new military system was formally organized and structured. Its symbol was a coat of arms, with a majestic eagle which embodied the strength, honor, and unity of the country. This was the beginning of a new era, promising order and prosperity. The army now concentrated on protecting the northern borders, while the navy took up strategic positions in the south. This balance allowed the country to effectively manage its forces and resist external threats while maintaining stability. The sudden success of the reforms and the strengthening of military power aroused the envy and jealousy of neighbors. The royal flag, which had become a symbol of prosperity, was threatened when tensions with outside powers escalated into open confrontation. The war began, but the unexpected invasion of the neighbors ended in a triumphant victory for the kingdom. The soldiers celebrated by breaking the flag of the empire, demonstrating the indestructible strength and unity of their country laid down by the reforms of the past years. Little Noah, enthusiastically telling about the events studied at school, shared this with those around her. Her eyes shone with pride for her country and its heroes who overcame all the trials for the sake of a peaceful future. Clara, inspired, tells Ace that she has studied everything for the test and will definitely pass it. Ace, watching her childish determination, wipes away a tear, remembering how recently Clara was still a baby. She is touched by the memories of the past and how quickly the girl is growing. Noah looks forward thoughtfully, her gaze filled with slight sadness. She is trying to comprehend something important, immersing herself in her thoughts. Her internal monologue hints at some secret or experience that has suddenly appeared in her mind. Lying on the couch, Noah ponders recent events, overhearing the conversations around her. She is overcome with mixed feelings, slight sadness and confusion. She reflects on how injustice can give birth to sadness, repeating the well-known truth about the grief of others. Clara, Ace, and Noah engage in a casual conversation where Clara, with childlike naivety, sincerely replies that she does not feel sorry for Noah. This moment causes a flash of emotion in Noah, making her think about how sincere children can be. Lying on the couch, Noah reflects bitterly on how futile her efforts to raise her younger sister have been. Her words are filled with despair, and the atmosphere of the room plunges into a dark mood, symbolizing an internal struggle. Clara suddenly approaches Noah, gently placing her hand on her shoulder, and drawing her attention. Noah is surprised to notice Clara's gesture and asks if she is trying to comfort her. Her eyes filling with warmth, Clara explains with innocent seriousness that her grandmother taught that a criminal should shed blood, not tears. These words frighten Noah, who realizes how profound the influence of adults' words can be on children. Ace reminds Noah to walk his little sister to school, chiding her for being idle. Clara, wanting to help, says she is ready to go herself. This moment raises questions about the roles and responsibilities of each family member. Noah is irritated, thinking that no one cares about her feelings. She reproaches her sister for indifference, but her internal conflict develops into an awareness of her weaknesses, making her words more emotional and sincere. Suddenly, Noah meets someone with a bouquet of flowers, which causes a storm of emotions in her. Her face reflects a mixture of surprise and joy, as if this unexpected gesture became a ray of light in her dark thoughts. Clara, seeing a man in a military uniform on the street, exclaims with delight and points at him. Ace, standing nearby, covers his mouth with his hand, surprised by her reaction. For Clara, this is a moment of special joy. She recognized Ritokinus, the legendary lieutenant general, and could not contain her emotions. Ritokinus approaches Noah with a smile, offering to go to work with her. However, Noah is puzzled because she has already stated her intention to leave. This unexpected meeting makes her wonder about Ritokinus's strange behavior. Ritokinus calmly points out that Noah has not yet completed the process of leaving, as she needs to fill out a statement to do so. His gentle but confident manner surprises and slightly embarrasses Noah. She realizes that it was not that simple. Returning home, Noah runs into Ace and Clara, who discuss her delay. Ace is surprised that Noah has not resigned, and notes that now Clara won't be able to brag about their family event at school. Things get tense, and Noah has to keep her cool. Ritokinus unperturbed calls for everyone to get ready for work, ignoring Noah's protests. She is outraged by his insistence, but understands that arguing with him is useless. Clara and Ace watch this scene with genuine interest, maintaining the tense atmosphere. Noah is determined and declares that if Ritokinus hesitates, she will leave first. Her confidence and persistence make her seem like a true leader, and this firmness slightly overwhelms Ritokinus. He quickly agrees to her demands to avoid further arguments. With a burst of determination, Noah runs off to get ready, leaving the others surprised. Ace whispers that her tenacity is reminiscent of the behavior of a villain, and Clara admiringly remarks that the youngest mistress of the house never ceases to amaze them. Clara's words add a touch of comedy to the proceedings. Ritokinus looks at this picture with warmth and notes that Noah's revival in the morning is pleasant to see. Ace predicts that this may become annoying over time, but she herself cannot help but smile. Clara impatiently awaits the continuation of their morning events. Clara suddenly asks Ritokinus to answer her question, which has long interested her. She looks at him with a serious expression, ready to talk. Ritokinus, understanding the importance of her words, bows before her, demonstrating sincere attention and respect for her opinion. Clara asks why he bullies her sister, which leaves Ritokinus stumped. He admits that he has thought about it before, but he finds it hard to give a definitive answer. This moment becomes a revelation for everyone, which brings a warm and profound accent to their relationship. Clara, a young and determined blonde, is admired for her maturity in conversation, but the remark about it throws her off balance. Her indignation is obvious, and she demands an explanation, trying to understand why Lieutenant General Ritokinus allows himself to make such statements. Ritokinus explains with a smile that his words were a compliment. admiring her vocabulary and ability to express her thoughts. His gentleness and sincerity confuses Clara, but she is not ready to give in and switches to a more persistent manner of communication. Clara reproaches Retokianus for his familiarity, believing that he has become too informal too quickly. Her emotionality contrasts with his calm, but he quietly acknowledges that such behavior is typical of him as her relative. Gathering her courage, Clara sets a condition. If Retokianus does not communicate with her sister, he must not call her his niece. She reinforces her statement with a serious look, forcing him to think about his actions. Retokianus is surprised comparing Clara's current determination with her behavior as a child. This question raises a puzzlement in her, but she immediately demands that he state how he will address her in the future. With a smile, Clara decides it is time to introduce herself. Her determination fills her image with energy, and she proudly announces her name, which makes Retokianus respect her character even more. In response to her introduction, Retokianus shows his respect by greeting her gallantly. He says that he has been preparing for this moment for a long time, showing how seriously he takes their meeting. Clara can't help but ask him if he really likes her sister. She looks at him with genuine interest, and his confused answer only confirms her suspicions. Her intense gaze and continued questioning completely confuse Retokianus. His reaction makes her smile slightly, but she remains serious, waiting for a more precise answer. Retokianus finally answers her questions sincerely, making Clara smile and feel satisfied. Their exchange shows how the delicate balance of humor and seriousness strengthens their bond, creating a warm and touching moment. Clara remembers her grandmother's words about the importance of noticing men who are unable to express their feelings. She shares this observation with a smile, confident that these words can help Retokianus understand his emotions. Retokianus acknowledges the wisdom of Grandmother Clara's words with a light laugh. His gentle smile shows that he is impressed by her insight, creating a touching and sincere atmosphere between them. The man sincerely admires the bouquet of flowers and shares that he likes it very much. His gaze becomes softer, and the atmosphere is filled with a sense of beauty and sincerity of the moment. Clara and her friend are delighted by what is happening. They are surprised by Retokianus's feelings and begin to cheerfully discuss how much he might like Noah. Their joyful emotions create a contrast with the serious subtext of the plot. The girls begin to playfully push Retokianus to confess his feelings, saying that he must show his best side to win Noah's trust. The man remains mysterious, calling his feelings a secret. Clara changes her tone abruptly, reminding Retokianus that if he truly likes Noah, he should be kind and gentle with her. Her serious look adds drama and emphasizes her genuine concern for her sisters. Retokianus is confused and claims that he has never done anything wrong. But Clara reminds him that she noticed how Noah always worried about him after work, which makes the man think about his behavior. In a surprising twist, Ace finds himself in a difficult situation involving the smell of alcohol and trying to calm a drunk man. Clara watches the situation with concern, realizing how complicated it is. Clara addresses Retokianus again, emphasizing that it is important for him to be kind to Noah if he truly values her. Her words are filled with childish naivety, but they touch on a deep theme of respect in relationships. Retokianus is deeply confused by Clara's words. His thoughts become more conscious, and his reaction shows that he is seriously considering his feelings. He internally promises to become a better person and earn Noah's trust. Noah was preparing to leave, but the unexpected presence of Ace and Clara caught her off guard. Her stern gaze emphasized the seriousness of her intentions. She expected the day to start calmly, but the encounter with the others disrupted her plans and intrigued her. This feeling caused her to be slightly irritated. As Noah approached, she noticed Retokianus surrounded by Ace and Clara. Their strange gathering and conversation seemed absurd to her. Her suspicions grew when she realized that the conversation was clearly about something personal. Her questioning tone increased the tension in the air. Things got heated when Noah realized that feelings that had nothing to do with her were being discussed in her own home. Her indignation was reflected in her clenched fists. She felt that the situation was getting out of control, and she needed to understand the true intentions of those around her. In the car, Noah and Retokianus rode in silence. but the tension between them was palpable. She looked out of the window, clearly puzzled by her thoughts. His serious expression only increased her doubts. There was an inexplicable weight of hidden emotions between them. Ritokianus suddenly approached, making Noah feel unsure. His words, spoken with obvious sincerity, startled her. She felt her cheeks begin to burn. His behavior made her wonder how well she understood his intentions. His gentle but intense gaze unsettled Noah. His words were so precise that she felt exposed. He knew her better than she thought, and this closeness was both frightening and surprising. She realized how hard it was for him to lie. Ritokianus emphasized how long he had watched Noah, knowing her every habit. She felt an invisible bond between them, deep and strong. His attention to her details left her not only confused, but also timidly attached. Noah, trying to remain calm, threw a sarcastic comment at him. She couldn't tell if he was laughing at her emotions or intentionally ignoring them. His confident expression made her feel helpless, but her pride didn't allow her to show it. His serious look, full of hidden intentions, made Noah think even more about his words. She felt that he understood her too well. It caused conflicting emotions in her, the desire to open up and at the same time push him away. Standing on the deck, Noah realized that the whole situation with Ritokianus was not just a prank, but a serious game of emotions. She felt how this game was drawing her in, forcing her to think about her true emotions. Her determination to figure it out only grew stronger. Noah, holding the seatbelt, looks towards the outstretched hand, expressing slight confusion and caution. Her gaze is cold, but deep down, uncertainty is visible. The moment emphasizes the distance between her and Ritokianus, who sits next to her. Ritokianus lightly touches her golden hair, creating an intimate and touching atmosphere. Noah thinks to herself that what torments her most is the misunderstanding of why he so clearly expresses hostility despite his outward goodwill. They sit in a bright red car surrounded by autumn leaves. Ritokianus is clearly trying to explain himself. His gaze-focused Noah maintains a stern expression, but there is tension in her posture. She silently admits that she is beginning to understand him. Ritokianus leans forward slightly, his eyes shining with sincerity. He clarifies that the reasons for his actions are hidden in circumstances he cannot change. Noah struggles to maintain her composure, but her emotions betray her. Noah's internal monologue reveals her conflicted feelings. She feels her heart pounding despite her attempts to maintain a cool facade. Her thoughts are confused, and she is surprised by her reaction to Ritokianus. Noah barely holds back her irritation, realizing that her own feelings are starting to get in the way. She tries to pull herself together, but the overwhelming emotions prevent her from making a balanced decision. Her anger is just a way to protect herself. Another character in a blue uniform appears in the building. He smiles and addresses Noah, asking a provocative question, but she answers sharply and reservedly, demonstrating independence and pride. The new interlocutor makes fun of Noah, noting her stubbornness. She reacts with irritation, but still tries to maintain her dignity. There is a hint of friendly teasing between them. The same character explains that word of her decision never spread, and that everything was arranged so that the lieutenant general would not accept her statement. He assures Noah that everything is back to normal, but her face betrays her inner doubts. As Noah ends the conversation, she pretends to have everything under control, but her internal struggle is becoming apparent. She clearly realizes that her relationship with Ritokianus and the circumstances she is embroiled in are beginning to change her usual way of thinking. Noah is confused, realizing that the current situation seems completely absurd to her. Her thoughts are filled with irritation and slight anxiety, which is reflected on her face. She tries to understand what happened, thinking about her actions and possible consequences. Noah's friend surprises her with an unexpected remark that leaves the heroine at a loss. She reminds Noah that she should thank the lieutenant general for his help. In this tense atmosphere, Noah feels that the situation is not developing in her favor. Memories of her recent confrontation with the lieutenant general come flooding back. Noah remembers with fury how rudely she spoke to him. Her face expresses a mixture of shame and anger as she thinks that she may have crossed a line. Painful memories surface of how Noah was once forced to flee with her child. In her arms, guilt and doubt brew within her as she is accused of desertion. accusations that weigh heavily on her, despite her heroic actions. One of her comrades notes that the entire conflict initially flared up because of the lieutenant general himself. Despite this, he admits that the situation was extremely dangerous. Noah feels mixed emotions, justification of her actions and awareness of the complexity of the situation. Her friend continues to point out her strange behavior in recent days. He notices that she has become more withdrawn and cautious. Noah, putting away her things, tries not to react to his words, but inside she feels tension. He adds that she usually tries to be careful, but sometimes her emotions get the better of her. These words make Noah think about how her actions appear to others. Her hand freezes as she holds the part of the uniform that symbolizes her duties. A friend reminds Noah that she doesn't tolerate hysterics when it comes to serious matters. This phrase sounds like an acknowledgement of her strength of character, but it also highlights how difficult it is for her to cope with emotions. Even in moments of humor, her nerves remain tense. Noah admits to herself that everything said about her is true. Her posture and facial expression reveal deep reflection. Her thoughts are focused on the importance of maintaining composure and control over her actions. Despite her outward calm, Noah explodes internally at the thought of having made a mistake in front of her team. Her emotions reach a peak, but she knows she must find a way to fix the situation to maintain the respect of those around her. A young officer in a blue uniform with gold epaulets expresses his thoughts to Noah, pointing out that her actions are too impulsive. His gaze is full of seriousness, but there is a subtle confusion, as if he is trying to support his friend, but is afraid to offend her with his directness. Noah, alarmed and angry, does not hold back her emotions. Her voice rises and her blue eyes flash. The anger that flares up betrays her displeasure. She perceives what was said as a reproach, raising an important question about the seriousness of the relationship and hinting that feelings are not a toy. The conversation gets tense again. Noah is reminded that her relationship with the lieutenant general has only lasted a month, and her impulsiveness seems excessive. Her partner gently but firmly points out the need to look at the situation soberly, clearly worried about her. The conversation is interrupted by a mention of a previous incident in which Noah was seen with a general. Her interlocutor, with a touch of irony, pushes her to confess, as if trying to ease the tension. This makes Noah feel awkward, but she remains serious. Tensions reach a peak when Noah denies the accusations, insisting that nothing of the sort ever happened. Her interlocutor, however, persists, making it clear that his certainty about what happened is unshakable. The situation escalates, hinting at some hidden moments in the past. The sudden appearance of the third officer with the books breaks the awkward silence. He apologizes for interrupting, but his words bring the conversation back to the past. He unwittingly reveals a moment that becomes a key argument against Noah. The scene flashes back to Noah when she finds herself in a compromising situation. The memory of the incident causes confusion and mild panic. The unexpected closeness and tension between the characters heightens the drama, highlighting their unresolved feelings. Noah's interlocutor comments on the situation with restraint, trying to smooth over the rough edges. His tone becomes serious, and his gaze becomes warmer. Noah, although embarrassed, finds the strength to withstand the emotional pressure. She blames everything that has happened in the last few days on some chaos created by another person. Her hands clench into fists, and her voice is firm. This moment reveals her inner struggle, anger and despair fighting with a sense of duty and justice. The interviewer notes that despite her irritation, Noah continues to cling to the feelings that hurt her. She realizes the truth by acknowledging her emotions. Noah realizes that she is truly angry, but this only confirms how deep her feelings are. Noah, filled with rage and a sense of injustice, tries to understand why everything happened the way it did. Her voice is shaking and her eyes are filled with determination. Her shiny uniform with medals emphasizes her status. But at this moment, she looks more vulnerable than usual. Burning with her own thoughts, she hides in the shadows, contemplating her defeat. A colleague of hers passes by and stops, concerned about her condition. Noah, covering her face with her hand, looks confused. The conflict rages inside her, and she cannot hide the pain. Ritokianus stares at Noah, wondering what has caused this reaction. His gaze is filled with a mixture of curiosity and tension, questions swirl in his head, and he begins to wonder about his own involvement in this. He picks up the document, recalling the details, and analyzes whether it has become an obstacle in Noah's path. His expression remains stern, but a shadow of doubt flickers in his eyes. The light falls on his figure, adding drama to the scene. The commanders are gathered around the table, discussing the experimental use of a new weapon. Ritaki quietly directs the conversation. Noah, sitting to the side, listens intently, trying to catch every detail so she can prepare for future actions. The discussion continues, and one of the officers reports that a new block has been added in the last minutes. Resources are limited, and the need for optimization becomes apparent. Noah remains wary, her figure visible in the background. Reflecting on the current state of affairs, Noah notes that the meeting is proceeding as usual. Her attention is distracted, and she wonders if she is exaggerating her importance in the current situation. Her gaze remains focused, but the internal conflict does not subside. Her internal reproaches mount. She realizes that she was overly sensitive and ran away instead of dealing with her emotions. Noah tries to remain calm, but nervously plays with her pen, attracting the attention of the young officer, who is amazed by her movements. Ritaki concludes the discussion, declaring the meeting to be over. His voice is stern and confident, summing it up. Noah is still struggling with her inner doubts, though her apparent reserve hides her true feelings. The telegram received this morning makes everyone think the contents of the document remain the focus. Noah and the other officers stare at the map, discussing strategy. The atmosphere becomes serious, hinting at upcoming challenges and important decisions. Lieutenant General Retoke, surrounded by his officers, displays confidence as he delivers important news. His relaxed posture and cheeky smile convey strength, and the officers do not hide their tension, sensing significant changes. Retoke shares rumors of the King's Knights approaching, focusing on their fame and controversial reputation. His sarcastic tone adds intrigue, causing the officers to wonder about the nature of these guests. One of the officers, trying to understand the general's intentions, asks a clarifying question. His seriousness reflects the general tension that heightens the atmosphere of the upcoming strategy discussion. The three main forces of the kingdom, the army, the royal knights, and the navy, maintain order in the state. Each of them plays a key role, reflecting the power and dedication to their cause. The leaders of these forces, despite their differences, grow closer during joint missions. Sharing experiences builds trust, and their interactions become the basis for a new, stronger friendship. Noah, shrewd and sarcastic, suddenly questions the sincerity of their relationship. Her remark stirs up underlying tension, forcing each of them to question their roles and true motives. The rivalry between the leaders intensifies, turning friendship into competition. Each side strives to prove its superiority, which leads to disputes and internal struggles for leadership. The result of the competition is a victory for the fleet. Despite this, the result is tinged with envy and banter, and the atmosphere of rivalry remains, adding a touch of humor to the proceedings. The leaders discuss the difficulties in their relationship with the royal knights. Their inaccessibility and arrogance create new challenges for the alliance, making cooperation even more strained. The arrival of Sir Delight with his family and subordinates causes excitement. Retoke prepares to welcome the guests, realizing that this event will be an important step in solving current problems and strengthening the position. Retoke, seated at his massive desk in the morning light, reflected on how things had suddenly turned out. His confident smile emphasized his awareness of his power. This moment seemed to symbolize the beginning of something important, hidden behind his penetrating gaze. The atmosphere in the room was tense. The young officers, exchanging glances, realized that the upcoming task might be more difficult than they expected. Their anxious comments reflected their fear of what was to come. They felt that the situation was spinning out of control. Noah and her team sat at a long table studying the map and strategy with concern. Her face reflected a mixture of disappointment and confusion as she realized that her planning had run into unexpected difficulties. The rest of the team silently waited for her decisions, feeling the weight of the moment. She clutched the pen in her hand, thinking that she was being used as a pawn in a game. The intensity in her eyes expressed her rage and determination not to give in to the circumstances. This moment showed how deep inside she was struggling with her own doubts, trying to maintain control. Ritoki has been watching Noah and her fellow soldiers from afar. His calm posture and intense gaze suggest that he understands what is happening better than anyone else. He decides that the time has come for a private conversation that could change the outcome of the situation. Noah felt a challenge as she met Ritoki's gaze. His confidence and strength shook her for a moment, but she quickly composed herself, knowing that this conversation would be crucial for her. Her blue eyes reflected a firm determination to stand her ground. Ritoki, sitting in the center of the room, put the current discussion aside, announcing that a more important matter would be discussed later. His words raised eyebrows, but no one dared argue. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense, as if everyone knew something important was happening. There was some confusion in the room. One of the officers observing what was happening expressed doubts about the success of the enterprise. Against the backdrop of these doubts, Noah, barely hiding her irritation, continued to work, demonstrating her willpower and unwillingness to retreat. Ritoki stepped closer and placed his hand lightly on Noah's shoulder, indicating that there was an invisible connection between them. It was as if his confidence was trying to infect her. Noah held back her irritation, showing that she would not lose her independence despite his influence. Finally, Ritoki looked into her eyes, saying her name with a slight smile. Noah responded with restraint, calling him by his title, and their gazes met in silence. This moment symbolized the beginning of their complex interaction, full of hidden intrigues and trials to come. Ritoki jokes about how he admires Noah's displeased look. Noah, irritated by his words, feels an unpleasant chill on her skin. The contrast between their emotions heightens the tension of the scene. Noah is determined, putting aside her emotions and declaring her intention to get to the point. Her confident gaze emphasizes the importance of the upcoming conversation. Noah asks Ritoki directly why he has impeded her advancement. Her tone is challenging, and the office setting adds formality to the conversation. Ritoki is evasive, citing circumstances. His relaxed demeanor contrasts with Noah's determination, creating an air of mystery. Noah doesn't hide her indignation, angrily asking, since when such decisions became his personal choice. The scene highlights her determination to stand up for her interests. Ritoki looks down at her and asks why Noah was willing to risk her life for a promotion. His gaze is penetrating, as if he is trying to understand her motives. Noah tries to avoid the topic, focusing on the current conversation. She clearly avoids revealing her true motives, keeping her vulnerability to herself. Ritoki mentions the sword, hinting at the true reason for her zeal. Noah's gaze becomes thoughtful, and her tense posture betrays her inner doubts. He reminds Noah of how she kept her eyes on the sword yesterday, as if under its influence. His quiet confidence underscores the hidden layers of their dialogue. The atmosphere is filled with tension as Ritoki and Noah continue to stand opposite each other, their gazes and words seeming to engage in a silent battle, leaving questions open. Noah, clenching her fists, is outraged by Ritoki suspicions. Her gaze is full of bitterness. She cannot believe that her achievements are attributed to anything other than her work. The feeling of resentment makes her argue, trying to defend her merits. She emotionally recalls how her previous promotion was earned solely because of her work. Her voice trembles with emotion. Noah talks about the times when personal relationships got in the way of her career, adding to the bitterness that makes her lower her eyes. Noah's face sank, and she struggled to hide her tears as she wondered how Ritoki could think so poorly of her. She felt unfair, remembering her efforts. She firmly believed that this time, the promotion was rightfully hers. Ritoki interrupts her angry train of thought, gently raising his hand. His gaze softens as if he is trying to calm Noah down. His actions baffle her, but inside, she continues to struggle with doubt. Noah ponders, asking what he plans to do next. Her voice is cold, but her eyes are filled with fear. She knows the importance of the sword she received is enormous, and she fears that she will have to part with it. Ritoki looks at her with a slight smile. His smug expression infuriates Noah. She realizes that his actions may be an act, but she still cannot fully understand his intentions. Noah is angry, imagining how he could hide the sword so that she would never find it again. Her imagination conjures up scenes where the sword becomes the object of his experiments. She clenches her fists in indignation, Suddenly, her anger turns to confusion. Yahello says words she didn't expect to hear. All her tension instantly turns to confusion and mild surprise. He decides to give the sword to Noah. She looks at him in shock, not understanding what caused such a decision. Her thoughts are chaotically flickering, trying to find an answer to this unexpected turn of events. Looking at him, Noah remains confused. Her face expresses surprise. She tries to comprehend what is happening. This decision of Yahello remains a mystery to her, but a spark of hope appears in her eyes. Noah and Yahello stand in front of each other. She asks for the sword that is lying on the table. He, with a slight smile, hints that he is ready to give it to her, as if asking some kind of riddle. Noah remembers with confusion that he had already offered her the sword yesterday. This fact surprises her, and the confidence in his words causes slight embarrassment. Yahello is certain that she needs the sword. His calm smile and firm statement emphasize his seriousness, which only increases her confusion. In the moment of realization, Noah realizes that she has indeed lost her sword. This causes a storm of emotions in her, shock and slight despair expressed in her voice. Her distress increases, and she exclaims her stupidity. Yahello tries to console her, saying that everything is not so bad. He seems willing to help her. Yahello suddenly picks Noah up, declaring that there is always a way out. She is confused and clearly did not expect such a reaction, but he is genuinely amused. As he descends the stairs, Yahello notices, with interest, how fascinated she is with swords. He ponders this slightly mockingly, but without malice. In a cozy atmosphere, he makes her an unexpected proposal. If she marries him, he will give her the sword. This unexpected statement causes an internal shock in Noah. She tries to keep her cool and asks if he's overheated in the sun, since this is the second day he's proposed to her. Her sarcasm underlines her confusion. Yahello smiles, stating that he truly wants this, emphasizing his determination. His gaze softens, and there is a slight intrigue and a sense of intimacy in the air. Noah remembers the wedding assignment, and she is filled with indignation. Her face expresses a mixture of surprise and rage, which conveys her inner resistance. She mentally calls this a nightmare, wondering how she was dragged into this situation. Yahello approaches Noah, smiling slightly, to ease the tension. He banters, lightly irritating her. She pulls away, demanding that he keep his distance. But he remains calm, hinting that this is all for her own good. Yahello gently takes Noah's hand, saying that he has been thinking about their future for a long time. This gesture causes confusion, because such moments are extremely unusual for Noah. She tries to understand what is hidden behind his words and actions. Yahello explains that no one else can handle him, emphasizing her unique qualities. He looks at her with tenderness, understanding how important this moment is. Noah hesitates internally, trying to contain her emotions. Noah remembers how he has hurt her many times. She feels angry and hurt, because his reckless actions have constantly upset her. Her determination to confront him only grows stronger. She reflects that everything is connected not only with work, but also with feelings. Her thoughts turn to the fact that Yahello always manages to touch her personal boundaries. She tries to figure out what she really feels. Noah accuses him of speaking of indifference to marriage himself, reminding him of his previous words. Yahello looks somewhat confused, but quickly pulls himself together, watching her reaction with a slight smile. Despite her rebukes, they share a sincere moment that she finds unexpected. She senses that there is more to their conflicts, and it makes her wonder about his true intentions. Noah is met with a determined gaze from Yahello, who suddenly shows his softness. He runs his hand over her cheek confidently, stating that he will never compromise on this matter, not even for her. Yahello assures her that he will never marry his face, reflecting the firmness of his convictions. Noah looks at him with the knowledge that her fight with him is not only a professional challenge, but also a personal drama full of hidden feelings. Noah firmly declares that she is not going to meet anyone demonstrating firmness and steadfastness. Her gaze is full of pride and stubbornness, and the golden aiguillette on her uniform only emphasizes the severity of her words. However, the internal tension shines through in every movement. There has always been a wall between Noah and Yahello, something that seems insurmountable. She feels it with all her soul, but she continues to maintain a cold distance. Even the bright lights of the room, reflected on her golden hair, cannot melt the ice in her heart. Ritakianus looks at Noah with a small smile, his words sounding calm as if he has already found a solution. His confidence and serene gaze ease the tension. Though Noah remains on edge, she knows that their conversation is only the beginning of something bigger. Despite her outward detachment, Noah is worried about her feelings. She realizes that they have never discussed important things, and this hurts her. A deep internal conflict is reflected in her eyes, full of sadness and doubt. It is as if she is trying to understand herself. Noah bows her head and admits that Ritakianus still irritates her. She avoids his gaze, unable to control her overwhelming emotions. However, Ritakianus remains calm and patient, his steadfastness irritating and admiring her at the same time. A step forward, a slight movement, and Noah changes the focus of the conversation. Her feet clad in elegant patterned boots confidently tread the floor, emphasizing her determination. She is about to make an important decision that will determine the future of their relationship. The focus is on the sword shimmering with light against the backdrop of magical patterns. Noah is sure that this sword is vital to her. Her desire to possess the sword becomes a metaphor for the internal struggle in which she needs to find her strength. Ritakianus understands that Noah is ready for the challenge, and his gaze expresses respect. He asks if she is ready to go all the way. His calm tone and gentle smile contrast with her inner tension, making Noah feel more confident. Noah holds out her hand, holding a golden piece of determination. She briefly confirms her intention, choosing the sword over principles. Her expression is serious, and her stern voice emphasizes how important this decision is to her. Their argument evolves into a playful suggestion to exchange swords instead of rings. Noah sarcastically agrees, adding that with this sword she could kill him. Ritakianus responds, playfully admiring her sharp nature. Noah finally breaks the barrier between them and accepts the challenge. Ritakianus, with scarlet eyes, sarcastically tells Noah that her red dress will perfectly match his gaze, but Noah sharply replies that she will stain it with blood. Her words sound decisive against the tense atmosphere of their first encounter. Noah and her companion stand by the car, illuminated by the sun. She glances around, as if pondering what has just happened. The man next to her looks puzzled, as if he has a premonition of what is to come. Noah is thinking hard about her decisions, and can't understand why her fate has crossed with such an unusual person as her companion. The man next to her tries to encourage her, although he himself is unsure of his words. An emotional scene ensues where Noah exclaims, surprised by her companion's words. He accuses her of being weird, which irritates the girl, but at the same time adds a comical tone to their conversation. Noah's companion claims that they are both crazy, but the only difference is that she has a grain of common sense that Ritakianus lacks. Noah reacts to these words with surprise, clearly disagreeing with this opinion. Noah is outraged that her companion abuses his rank to make fun of her. In response to his words, she shows her strength of character, causing him to fall in confusion, but maintains her inner confidence. The man continues to philosophize, claiming that any sensible girl would reject a proposal from a man like Ritakianus. Noah begins to analyze his words, but remains firm in her decision. Noah briefly replies that she did what she thought was right, brushing off unnecessary drama. Her companion indignantly tries to convince her otherwise, but she remains calm, proving her case. The man smiles and claims that Noah and Ritakianus were just having a good time joking with each other. His words are filled with sarcasm, which makes the scene ironic, adding dynamics to their interaction. Noah firmly states that she has put Ritakianus in his place, not wanting to listen to any arguments. Her interlocutor tries to understand her actions, adding a bit of humor to the proceedings, which ends this tense but emotional episode. Noah, sighing tiredly, says that she doesn't care what happens because she will be dead. In conversation, she speaks of her interlocutors with a sarcastic note, calling them fools. This reveals her internal conflict and fatigue from what is happening. In the next shot, one of the characters greets his car animatedly, calling it a cute baby. He compares it to another object he finds less attractive, which displeases Noah, who reminds him to be careful with his language. The character continues to admire the car, calling it a beauty, even claiming that its little voice is superior to Noah's. This moment highlights the comical and strange nature of the character's attachment to the car, contrasting with Noah's seriousness. In the car, a conversation begins between Noah and her companion. She notes that the car is a four-seater, but he explains that the back is cramped, so he only uses the front seats. This detail adds to the informal atmosphere of the interaction. Noah shares that she has recently been thinking about buying a car. Her companion assures her that she will soon be able to get a lieutenant general's car, adding a note of confidence and support to the conversation. A tense dialogue ensues in the rearview mirror. Noah expresses the idea that her companion is likely to get married. He reacts emotionally to this, denying her words, which causes a feeling of bewilderment and laughter in the reader. Noah's companion points out that those who so confidently deny the possibility of marriage are usually the ones who get married first. He jokingly asks her not to forget to throw him a bouquet, which adds to the lightness of the atmosphere. The conversation takes a more serious turn. The companion asks why a certain person has blocked her career advancement. This touches on Noah's personal and professional problems, deepening the plot. Noah, still pondering what happened, admits that she has no answer to this question. Her tired look and thoughtfulness emphasize her inner experiences. In conclusion, Noah reflects that she urgently needs a certain sword to achieve her goal. However, the idea of marrying for this purpose seems humiliating to her, leading to the moral dilemma facing the heroine. Noah looks thoughtfully out the car window. She holds her head in her hand. Her eyes are tired, and her thoughts seem to be full of worries and reflections on something important. Clara writes a letter in which she tells about the events at home. Her sister is going to marry an old lover, and the heroine herself has taken over the management of the household. However, she sincerely tries to cope despite the difficulties. She expresses joy in her efforts, smiling with a slight sense of pride. She wants to show that she is capable of being independent, even though life seems difficult. But optimism helps her maintain a cheerful spirit. As she finishes the letter, the girl adds warm words to encourage the recipient. She hopes that her message will bring joy and inspiration. A smile appears on her face as she thinks about how the letter will be received. The letter also mentions a brother who has not yet returned home. The medicine given to find him remains unused. This emphasizes that caring for the family is important to the heroine, despite the humorous casualness in describing the situation. With sincere hope, Clara ponders how her letter can influence her grandmother, spur her on to new achievements. She wants her grandmother to feel supported and know that her work is noticed and appreciated. Wrapping the letter in a neat envelope, the heroine chooses stickers to decorate it. This small gesture becomes a way for her to express her love and care through details that are so important to her. Clara takes a long time to choose between the stickers. Her funny seriousness in choosing emphasizes how much she wants to make the letter special. She finds it difficult to decide, but she puts all her feelings into this choice. In the end, she chooses a sticker with a picture of a rabbit with a knife. This choice is a bit comical, but it shows that the girl finds joy even in small things, adding playfulness to her actions. The letter is sealed, and Clara looks at it with pride. She is sure that her grandmother will be pleased with her gift. Genuine happiness fills her face as she completes this small but meaningful gesture. Ace stood on the stairs in a spacious and bright room, hurriedly calling Clara, reminding her that it was time to go to school. Her voice sounded loud, but her eyes showed concern. Ace looked stern, but at the same time, she smiled reservedly, waiting for a reaction from her ward. Clara, a small blonde with sparkling blue eyes, ran out of the room and down the stairs, with incredible speed, holding something in her hands. She looked inspired and full of energy, clearly having something important and urgent on her mind. At full speed, Clara happily waved the envelope in the air, not hiding her delight. She showed Ace the letter she was holding and asked her to take it to the mailbox. Her shining face and confident movements filled the scene with warmth and sincerity. Ace, with a soft smile, hugged Clara and accepted the letter. She looked at the girl with approval, checking whether the letter was written correctly. Their interaction felt trusting and tender care, like that of an older sister and a younger one. When Clara asked where her sister was, Ace calmly explained that she had already left. The girl frowned slightly, but despite her slight disappointment, she still continued to stay close, showing affection and warmth towards her companion. Ace gently patted Clara on the head, reminding her that time was running out. The girl, slightly surprised, looked up at her with touching childish sincerity, as if she couldn't believe that everything was happening so quickly. On their way, Clara expressed mild displeasure that her sister had not waited for her. Ace tried to diffuse the situation with a smile, teasing the little girl a little. Their exchange looked touching and comical, emphasizing their warm relationship. During the conversation, Ace explained that her sister had an important meeting that would take time. Clara frowned with a little disbelief, her curiosity intensifying. She was clearly concerned about what was going on, and her emotions were conveyed throughout the entire scene. Clara suggested that the meeting might be related to the Lieutenant General, which made Ace chuckle slightly. She assured him that it was not, but their conversation still left a slight hint of intrigue, adding depth to their dialogue. Ace explained that there was nothing to worry about, because the Lieutenant General was obviously sincere in his feelings if he even proposed to his sister. Their conversation ended at the gate, where Clara somewhat calmed down, thoughtfully looked into the distance, and Ace continued to radiate calm and confidence. Noah and Clara are enjoying a bike ride. Noah leads them along a green path, and Clara talks about how to be careful when accepting offers inspired by something she heard on the radio. Her serious tone and innocent smile add a funny contrast to the situation. Clara is a firm reminder of the importance of being wary of bad people, insisting that you can't say yes right away. Her confidence astounds Noah, who smiles softly, admiring the girl's determination. This moment strengthens their bond. Ace discusses the arrival of the Royal Knights with a colleague. She tries to remain calm despite the fact that her schedule is disrupted by the unexpected visit. Her interlocutor chuckles, but understands her tension, supporting her with a brief glance. The memory of the upcoming meeting with the Knights causes one of Ace's colleagues to become irritated. He thinks that everything is happening too fast and not according to plan. Ace keeps his cool and advises him not to get angry, calming the situation. Tensions rise when one of the officers complains about the messed-up schedule. Ace looks away, trying to remain calm, but the complaint is too loud to ignore. She steels herself not to lose her temper. A group of knights arrives, and their behavior immediately attracts attention. Their arrogance irritates Ace and her colleagues. They realize that the knights are deliberately showing off their superiority, causing resentment among the local officers. One of the officers sarcastically wonders if all aristocrats are really so arrogant. Ace notices this, but remains neutral, trying not to show his true emotions. The overall atmosphere becomes increasingly tense. In a conversation with Ritokianis, his origins are mentioned. Someone reminds him that he himself belongs to the aristocracy, but he easily parries this remark, assuring that even the most powerful man cannot compare to him. His confidence makes one smile. Ritokianis shares his assessment of the knights who have arrived, calling them overconfident. He laughs at the situation, suggesting that their arrogance should not be taken too seriously. His lightness of speech contrasts with the tension around him. Ritokianis inquires as to what the guests are doing, noting with a hint of irony that they don't seem to care much about their appearance. His gaze conveys a hint of mockery, but also a hidden readiness to act if the situation gets out of hand. Lieutenant General Ritokianis stern and focused orders the young officer to report what is causing tension around him. His determined gaze and clear words make it clear that he expects his orders to be followed to the letter. Noah, the cold-faced captain, barely manages to contain her emotions as she watches the proceedings. She barely hides her irritation at interacting with the new arrivals, whom she views as arrogant aristocrats. After a tense moment, attention shifts to another officer. A humorous remark is heard in the background, allowing the tension to be relieved. Those around begin to focus on the tasks at hand. Forgetting about personal grievances, Lieutenant General Ritokianis, having gathered all his subordinates, carefully examines them. His confident and authoritative demeanor inspires respect and a little fear, making everyone strive to perform their duties flawlessly. He announces that new equipment has arrived and warns that only a select few will have access to it. His voice, calm but firm, indicates the rigor of the selection and the importance of responsibility in their mission. There is excitement among the participants. Ritokianis announces the names of those who will be in charge of distributing the things, and the rest head to the frigate. Some are visibly tense, But Captain Noah maintains complete composure. Suddenly, another officer, Ami Chidia, breaks down and desperately begs to be sent to the frigate. Her emotional speech causes mixed reactions. Some sympathize, while others consider her behavior unworthy. After the rejection, Ami looks completely broken. She jokingly complains about her fate, but there is a bitterness of disappointment in her voice. Her colleagues can hardly hide their smiles, trying to maintain a serious atmosphere. Captain Noah reminds Ami of the importance of their task, instilling confidence in her abilities. She emphasizes that such assignments are given only to those who have demonstrated high professionalism. Finally, everyone gets back to work. Ami continues to grumble, but with less seriousness, and Noah continues to explain the strategic value of their mission with a smile. The atmosphere gradually clears, and the team begins to act in a coordinated manner. Noah felt an unusual lightness in her movements as she passed the base, wondering how much of it was due to the new type of equipment. The feeling that the usual heaviness had disappeared gave her a confidence and a sense of freedom that had been missing for a long time in the tense military routine. Her thoughts are interrupted by a message from the Magic Tower relayed to her by her colleagues. Noah's gaze is focused. She understands that she has yet another important issue to sort out related to the mission. Her eyes are focused, mixed with a shadow of worry. The officers discuss the new submarine, pointing out the difficulties in balancing it. Due to the reduced weight, Noah listens, intently analyzing the situation. The technology promises to be useful, but its peculiarities require caution and adaptation from the crew. The two junior officers look confused when they hear about the difficulties of diving and staying underwater for long periods of time. Their doubts reflect the general mood of the team. Noah knows that he has to instill confidence in them and show them how to handle the new equipment. Lieutenant General Ritokianis explains that the submarine will follow a specific protocol for diving and movement. His clear instructions give the crew direction, but Noah notes that the situation remains tense, requiring further clarification. Ritokianis addresses Noah, asking about her connections to General Flancy. This surprises the girl, but she calmly confirms that she only briefly crossed paths with him. A slight confusion flickers in her eyes at the unexpected question. The general mentions that Flancy previously held a prominent position in the military, clearly testing Noah's reaction. She calmly explains that their interactions have been minimal and tries to understand where this question is heading. Ritokianis, noticing her reaction, only briefly ends the conversation, leaving Noah thoughtful. She understands that there is something he is not telling her, but decides not to press the issue for now, giving her time to put everything in its place. The girl's thoughts begin to revolve around strange hints and omissions. She worries that the mysteries continue to multiply, and the answers still remain beyond the reach. Noah feels the need to get to the bottom of it. Gathering her thoughts, she decides to put her doubts aside and focus on the task at hand. Her gaze turns to the distance where a new mission awaits and an opportunity to prove herself in conditions that require maximum concentration. Noah looks into the distance, thoughtfully pondering the incomprehensible actions of one of her comrades. Her facial expression clearly conveys the internal tension and the attempt to understand what exactly he is planning. A coworker approaches her from behind, teasing Noah about possibly confessing his love. The joke is unexpected, and she reacts with a mixture of embarrassment and irritation, clearly not happy with the innuendo. In response to this inappropriate conversation, Noah, with a serious expression, orders his comrade to perform an absurd action as a lesson, clearly showing that there is no place for personal issues at work. He obediently carries out the order, causing even more discontent. Noah presses her earpiece, accepting an important call. Her determined movement suggests that she is returning to more serious matters, ignoring the entire previous incident. The captain calls Noah, informing him that he needs to confirm communications. The situation becomes serious, and attention turns to the implementation of important military tasks. Tensions rise, foreshadowing what is to come. The system confirms a successful connection with the captain. The background shows a ship preparing for the next mission. The sea surface emphasizes the importance of the upcoming operation and the responsibility of the participants. The captain reports the ship's location and gives instructions so that their squad can join it. His stern demeanor emphasizes the importance of the mission and the need to strictly follow orders. Noah's group gathers on the pier, ready to take on the task. Everyone stands tall, focused, understanding the gravity of the moment. Noah takes a decisive step forward, diving into the water. Her confidence in movement symbolizes her determination to overcome all difficulties in order to fulfill her mission. The majestic ornamentation highlights Noah's talent as an outstanding leader. Her image is filled with light and symbolism, showing her role as an exceptional team member capable of great deeds. Retikianus, a brilliant military genius with white hair and red eyes, stood out for his sharp mind and cold determination. His talent was undeniable, and this inspired confidence in those around him. With weapons in hand, he was ready for new exploits for the sake of his empire. After graduating from the Naval Academy, Reth immediately took part in the counterattack on Adlabor. Showing strategic genius, he carried out a daring raid in just a week, which resulted in a victory that strengthened his country's position. His triumph culminated in the symbolic moment when Reth planted the flag on the tower of the captured palace. This act was a testament to his courage and unwavering dedication to his cause, and also a symbol of a new stage in the history of the empire. For his achievements, Reth was awarded the highest military decoration and promoted to captain first rank. Never before in the history of the Royal Navy had there been such a rapid career advancement, which confirmed the exceptional nature of his services. Despite his young age, many of his colleagues doubted his abilities. However, Reth dispelled all doubts when he took charge of the fleet, ensuring unprecedented victories and strengthening the military power of the empire. Under his leadership, the fleet experienced a golden era when victories followed one another. His strategic decisions ensured success and respect from comrades and enemies. Over time, Reth was promoted to lieutenant general, a title that underscored his influence and status in the military hierarchy. He continued to inspire those around him by his example. Together with General Adbella Reth, founded an elite unit, the Special Ship Squad. This group became a symbol of power and elitism, raising the kingdom's fighting forces to a new level. This unit, called Specials, included only 13 selected fighters who had undergone the most rigorous selection. Each of them was an elite warrior, ready to carry out any order of his commander. Reth, surrounded by his team, continued to inspire them with his strength and leadership. Their exploits became legendary, strengthening not only the military might, but also the spirit of the empire, which was unbreakable thanks to his efforts. The team, decked out in cutting-edge technology, discussed the amazing efficiency of their gear. Noah, with a small smile, wonders how people ever managed without such conveniences in the past, reminding his colleagues of the breakthroughs that changed their world. One of the team members begins to speculate about the magic built into their gear. He suggests that its functions may include healing spells, levitation spells, and other complex elements that provide protection in their working environment. Noah explains in detail the construction of their magical suits. She mentions protective spells that maintain body temperature and a balance that allows them to withstand the pressure of the waves. Thanks to these technologies, they can stay in the deep sea for a long time. The team admires Noah's knowledge, considering her a true expert. The atmosphere becomes more relaxed. The younger member of the team humorously expresses his surprise at her competence, causing good-natured smiles from those around him. The newcomer to the team admits that this is his first assignment and shares his worries. His embarrassment is noticeable in the uncertain movement of his legs in the water. His colleagues try to encourage him, promising to help correct possible mistakes. Noah assures the newcomer that even if he fails, the team will support him. Her calm and confidence instills a sense of security in the young employee. The other members of the group smile sincerely, trying to create a positive atmosphere. Teammates encourage trust in them and their experience. Noah and her colleague demonstrate confidence in their abilities through humor, charging everyone with enthusiasm. Even in a difficult mission, their lightness and humor help maintain a fighting spirit. One of the team members hints that Noah and Lieutenant General Retokanos were discussing something personal. However, the moment is cut short, as Noah abruptly calls his colleague to order to avoid unnecessary conversations. A light argument ensues between Noah and her colleague, accompanied by mixed emotions. The newcomer anxiously asks them not to quarrel. Despite the tension dissipates as their conflict becomes more friendly. Retokianus intervenes, reminding the team of the importance of the task. His confident voice brings everyone back to discipline, preparing them to receive the signal. His calm and authority underscore the determination of the mission ahead. Noah, dressed in her military uniform, reports the start of the mission. Her confident gaze reflects the seriousness of the moment, while the seascape in the background adds to the tension. A voice in the earpiece confirms her message, and the team springs into action. The white-haired man, Lieutenant General Ritokianus, gives the order to retreat to a safe distance. His stern tone and decisive gestures urge the crew to act quickly. The sea surface beneath their feet sparkles with light, creating a dramatic effect. Noah focuses, knowing that this is the key moment of the mission. Her eyes are full of determination, her internal monologue reminding her of the importance of concentration. The shadows of tension on her face add to the sense of drama. She manages to create a protective barrier that materializes as a glowing dome around her. Waves of energy ripple, amplifying the effect of her determination and strength. This achievement demonstrates her professionalism and level of training. The team begins to move forward, each with their own task. Noah signals to split up, and the team members head off in different directions. The water around them seems to emphasize the importance of what is happening. One of the team members takes on the task of exploring the lower layers of the water. Her calm smile and determined gaze indicate her readiness for difficulties. She dives into the sea depths, accompanied by a slight glow from the protective dome. Noah, adjusting her headset, bids farewell to the team, giving them a pep talk before the mission begins. Her long hair flutters as the voice in her earpiece records the team members entering the water. Her confidence inspires the others. The last member of the team, standing at the edge, glances into the water, checking for readiness. His feet are already submerged in the glowing waves. The Lieutenant General gives the order to complete the entry into the water and join the mission. Ritokianus reminds the team to record their actions and observations. His voice, strong and confident, cuts through the roar of the waves, guiding the team in the right direction. The landscape around them frames the mission in an atmosphere of epic importance. After the mission, the team gathers to discuss the challenges and successes. One of the team members complains about the difficulty of maintaining balance, noting that Adello's inventions are questionable. The atmosphere lightens and laughter breaks out. But the tension of the mission is still palpable. A young man discusses with irritation a problem with a membrane that lets water through. His indignation is directed at the Magic Tower, accusing its inhabitants of irresponsibility, which makes his frustration obvious and highlights the unfairness of the situation. A soldier reports a call to Captain Bello. She is puzzled by who might be looking for her through the phone. The scene conveys both the professional setting and the personal tension associated with an unexpected call. Noah answers the phone. In the conversation, she is informed that Miss Clara has probably gotten into a fight. The question about winning sounds sarcastic, but the real problem turns out to be much deeper and more disturbing. The source of the conflict is revealed. Clara has fought with the son of the influential Lord Delight. This is not just a school fight, but a potential scandal with serious consequences, which adds to the tension. Lord Delight's son appears before the audience, expressing contempt for Clara. His look and words convey a mixture of resentment and arrogance, emphasizing the conflict of class and status between the characters. Clara, in response to humiliation, does not hide her emotions. Her determination and rage show the strong character of a girl who is ready to defend herself despite the status of her opponent. Noah is shocked to learn that Lord Delight has suddenly appeared in the capital. The mention of a bride adds to the intrigue, raising suspicions of hidden motives and secret plans. Lieutenant General Ritokianus intervenes, asking pointed questions and provoking Noah. His demeanor demonstrates strength and authority, emphasizing his role as protector and mentor. He offers his help to Noah, assuring her that he is ready to fulfill any of her wishes. His confidence and slight irony reveal a deeper connection between the characters, hinting at trust and support. Noah and Ritokianus walk together, showing unity and determination. Their appearance together in this form demonstrates a union that can overcome any obstacle. Ritokianus, smiling confidently, asks a question with a hint of sarcasm, as if testing the true intentions of the interlocutor. His red eyes sparkle brightly, reflecting a stern but polite character. This moment emphasizes his status and authority in the events taking place. The boy with golden hair frowning mentions his origins with an offended expression. His posture and facial expression indicate wounded dignity. He reminds himself, and those around him, of his belonging to a family which is of special importance to him. Clara, a little girl with golden hair, looks dreamy. She has long wanted to meet the one she has often heard about, and this incident seems to her a real gift of fate. Her sparkling blue eyes speak of excited anticipation and joy. The family gathers in the room. The atmosphere is warm and welcoming. Clara is the center of attention, surrounded by caring adults. But the excitement on her face slightly betrays her character. It is a moment of family reunion and joyful sharing. Clara, seeing her sister, joyfully screams, expressing her feelings. Her sincere laughter and the sparkle in her eyes fill the space with light. She seems like an angel in this warm moment, filled with love and delight. The girl throws herself into her older sister's arms, showing how much she missed her. The emotional moment highlights the bond between them. Ritokianus watches them with a gentle smile, adding a note of approval and peace to the scene. Clara, her face beaming, addresses Ritokianus as uncle and asks a question. The adult responds kindly, his stern image softening in his interaction with the child. The exchange adds warmth to the family scene. The older sister asks about Clara's well-being with concern. The girl confidently declares that everything is fine and boasts that she used the skills that her grandmother taught her. This scene highlights her courage and resourcefulness. Adults admire Clara for remaining unharmed despite her activity. Her hair is slightly disheveled, but her gaze is full of pride and confidence. Her innocence and charisma captivate everyone around her. Unlike Clara, the boy has clearly been through a difficult moment. His disheveled hair, bloody nose, and scratches on his arms indicate his attempts to cope with the situation. His stubborn gaze expresses an internal struggle and persistence. Clara, laughing happily, looked at her sister Noah, who gently stroked her head. The girl felt safe next to her sister Noah. With slight irony, emphasized her strictness, reminding that it was better not to joke with her. A serious scene was taking place in the house. An adult man addressed Noah, calling her Lady Bello. His words expressed deep gratitude for her efforts in protecting the country. The moment filled the atmosphere with respect and slight tension. The servant explained the situation in a reserved manner. There had been a quarrel on the playground. Clara looked unperturbed, but the boy opposite her, disheveled and with a bandaged cheek, was clearly indignant. The maid quickly clarified that the girl had been almost unharmed. The boy, overcome with anger, shouted threats with clenched fists, promising revenge. His face was red with rage, and his green eyes were blazing with determination. At this moment, Clara, on the contrary, remained coldly calm, as if mocking his words. Clara, shaking her head slightly, showed her disdain for the boy's manners. Her calm and mocking tone emphasized the difference between them, making the situation seem even more tense. Her words fueled his anger even more. The conversation became increasingly heated. Clara looked with a triumphant grin at the enraged boy, who was barely holding back. In the background, their argument was nervously observed by a maid who desperately tried to calm the children, but to no avail. The boy, seething with rage, demanded confirmation from the grown man. Did he have the right to punish Clara? His determined look expressed absolute confidence in his rightness. His whole figure was tense, ready for action. The man, adjusting his glasses and maintaining a cool composure, dismissed the possibility of extreme measures, but added that he could exact the most severe punishment. His calm confidence was disarming, and the subtle notes of sarcasm only increased the tension. Ace was watching the situation from the side, whispering discreetly to Noah. Her voice was full of surprise when she asked about the stranger. Noah calmly explained that he was a lawyer, called by the boy. Ace couldn't hide her curiosity. Ace expressed her opinion with restraint. She felt that it was not Clara who started the quarrel. Her words expressed support for the young lady, giving the situation additional context. Her voice was both cautious and confident in her words. A little girl named Clara ignores a boy who pulls her hair in anger. This causes Clara to cry and scream, and the tension between the children increases, demonstrating his desire for dominance and unruly nature. A young boy stands in the room protesting. His threats and behavior do not seem like simple pranks, but more like an attempt at control. The tone and atmosphere in the room becomes alarming. Noah, Clara's guardian, looks at the boy sternly. Her calm but piercing gaze shows that she is ready to defend the rights of her ward. The girl demonstrates her determination in a difficult situation. A man who identifies himself as the Delight family's lawyer steps in, introduces himself, and attempts to mediate the conflict. However, his serious tone only adds to the tension, emphasizing the importance of family responsibilities and legacy. The lawyer apologizes for the incident, claiming that Clara was not hurt, but the boy was seriously injured. However, this does not absolve him of guilt, because the responsibility for the conflict, according to him, lies with the boy. The conversation deepens, and Noah claims that the boy started the fight, and that Clara was only defending herself. The boy's insults towards Clara are met with condemnation, adding to the drama of the situation. Noah firmly states that Clara's actions were self-defense. Clara, in turn, makes a funny face, as if teasing the boy, showing that she is under the protection of her guardian. The lawyer decides to simplify the situation by removing his glasses. He reminds the boy that he is the only legitimate heir of the Delight family, emphasizing his status and the importance of maintaining order. The viewer is shown the flag of the Delight family, symbolizing their influence and history. The family has been protecting the royal family for many years, and their lineage is famous for its nobility and strength. The boy, a third-generation Delight, smiles, showing his pride. But behind his smile is a desire to prove his strength and importance in the eyes of others. Ritoki, dressed in an elegant suit, reflects on his responsibility to his family, where children are at the center. His serious gaze and hand gesture show how important his role as a trusted person, charged with responsibility for their future, is to him. He agrees that adults should not interfere in children's conflicts. In the hall, his interlocutor suggests discussing the details in private. Ritoki immediately supports this idea, which shows his openness to dialogue and willingness to resolve issues diplomatically. In a moment of unexpected twist, Ritoki suddenly reveals his identity to those present. His charismatic smile and calm confidence cause a mixture of surprise and admiration in everyone nearby. Ritoki introduces himself, formally claiming that his name connotes importance and authority. His refined appearance and calm tone of speech create an atmosphere of gentle tension and deep respect. Ace carefully puts Clara to bed, supporting her after a busy day. The girl laughs and yawns, confirming her tiredness. There is a sincere affection between them, creating a warm family atmosphere. Ace asks a question regarding Ritoki. Her mild curiosity and calm voice hint that the history of the Oceanus family hides many secrets that she wishes to unravel. Ritoki explains the importance of the Oceanus family in society. Through the change of scenery and the appearance of a complex mechanical clock, it is emphasized that his name is associated with serious power and the secret mechanisms of the political game. The luxurious palace, looking at its architecture and garden, experiencing mixed feelings. Admiration for the beauty and curiosity about the life inside this moment increases the mystery and intrigue around the Oceanus family. Ritoki reveals that the Oceanus are one of the most influential families after the Yahello. His tone emphasizes his confidence in his power, and his gaze pierces those around him, as if reminding him of the greatness of his lineage. Ace is surprised to learn that the Oceanus family is renowned for its military might. She ponders the significance of their influence with admiration and caution, realizing that a new, more complex world is opening up to her. Clara listened with rapt attention to the story of the Oceanus family, which was famous for its military achievements. She was impressed by the images of her ancestors, brave knights who stood up to defend their native country. The girl was amazed at how deep the roots of their military heritage were. Then they explained to her that the Oceanus were not only warriors, but also masters of military industry. They developed weapons, providing their country with the best technology. At that moment, Clara, smiling broadly, guessed that they were talking about weapons production. She was told that the Yahello family was responsible for the manufacturing, but that all their work was coordinated with the Oceanus. This rule underscored the family's status as the ultimate arbiter of the country's military affairs. Clara listened attentively, clearly impressed by the significance of their role. The products developed under the supervision of the Oceanus are then used by the elite Special Ship Squad. This underlines the strategic importance of their work and their contribution to the country's security. Clara was amazed, imagining the scale of their influence. The girl excitedly compared Retokianus to another famous person, hinting that she thought he was more outstanding. Her opinion made Ace smile, who laughingly confirmed that he was indeed far superior. Clara, enchanted by the story, suddenly decided that she would call Retokianus her son-in-law. This statement, filled with childish spontaneity, made everyone in the room laugh. But it reflected her sincere admiration for the general. Retokianus arrived at the Delight Mansion and was greeted with respect. The family had made a positive impression on him, confirming their reputation as one of the outstanding. There was a sense of importance in the room. The man noted that Oceanus were not like everyone else. Their role went beyond their normal duties, making them unique. His voice sounded genuinely proud of his heritage, and it did not go unnoticed. In conversation, he emphasized the courage of Ace's actions in contacting headquarters before their arrival in the south. Her determination and organization seemed to surprise and impress him, increasing his respect for her. Suddenly, a tall man entered the room, his appearance causing unexpected joy. His visit was a pleasant surprise, ending this series of events on a warm and positive note. Noah and Retokianus enter the room, confronted by a tense atmosphere. Noah's gaze is serious, and the lieutenant general holds himself confidently, directing his red gaze at the man, whose voice betrays hidden displeasure. During the conversation, it becomes clear that the general knows the details of the situation. He calmly mentions the location of Lord Delight, which immediately unsettles the interlocutor, who clearly did not expect such knowledge. Retokianus continues forcing the other person to justify the delay. He asks questions softly, but with obvious sarcasm, putting the situation in an unfavorable light for the opponent. His gaze and smile emphasize confidence and control. The general, as if to console, assures that he understands what is happening. His calm and even tone contrast with the tense posture of the other participant in the conversation, where even a step back indicates his confusion. Retokianus steps closer, threateningly close. Words about parents interfering in children's fights fly from his lips, heightening the drama. The scene emphasizes his dominance and calculation. Noah watches the situation, agreeing with the general's conclusions. However, she does not want to leave the problem unresolved, feeling the need to act and defend her principles. A young man bursts in angry complaining about Lord Delight's son threatening his sister. His emotions are running high, and his voice is filled with righteous indignation, demanding justice. Lord Delight, who stands before them, keeps a cold expression on his face. He listens without showing any emotion, which only increases the tension in the room. The Lord finally breaks the silence, offering a brief apology. However, his icy tone and lack of sincerity make everyone feel that it is more of a formality than a sign of regret. Delight's apology was not sincere. Noah is inwardly indignant, feeling that the Lord did not even flinch, despite the seriousness of the accusations. Noah, holding back her anger, reproaches the man in uniform for obviously not regretting what he did. She shows her resolve by declaring that she will not make excuses for Clara's actions. The conflict escalates, but Clara maintains her cool fortitude. Having voiced his complaints, Noah sternly demands that the lieutenant general keep his son away from Clara. She points out his responsibility to raise the child so that he does not bully other children, otherwise she will contact the school principal. The man reluctantly admits that she is right. A tense silence hangs in the air between them. They stare into each other's eyes, unwilling to give in. Noah's internal monologue betrays her desire to continue the argument, but common sense prevails. Suddenly, attention turns to the boy standing to the side. He is clearly frightened and unsure of himself. His gaze is troubled, and Noah wonders how severe a punishment he might receive for his misbehavior. Later, Noah and the man with white hair walk under the flowering trees, discussing the situation. She expresses hope that the boy will be okay. The man agrees that the father's punishment may be severe, which makes the girl anxious. The man notices that the boy knows some bad language, which is unusual for his age. He raises the question of who could have had such an influence on the child. This makes Noah wonder about the reasons for the boy's behavior. Reflecting on what happened, Noah admits that this is why she decided not to get into the argument. She understands that it is better to keep her distance from people like the lieutenant general to preserve her own dignity. The man agrees with her conclusion, surprising Noah. She notes the ironic thought that they may have found common ground for the first time in this situation. Reflecting on Ritokianus, Noah notices his contradictory nature. Despite his indifference to the problems of others, he sometimes shows an unexpected interest in caring for others, which causes her mixed feelings. Noah's final thought concludes her observation. She realizes that the man's concern is unusual and peculiar, causing her to smile slightly. Her gaze reflects a mixture of irony and acceptance of the situation. Noah was decisive in discussing important issues, assuring her interlocutor that endless reasoning would only distract them from the essence. Her serious expression and fierce energy showed that she was ready for action, not words. She acknowledged that there were a few key points to clarify before the big conversation. Her confident posture and piercing gaze confirmed her determination to leave no stone unturned. Approaching the building surrounded by flowering trees, Noah asked to see the lieutenant general, insisting on the importance of their conversation. Her voice was firm, and the atmosphere around her was filled with tension. Appearing before Ritokianus, she was surprised to notice that he was absent from his workstation. Thoughts about the strangeness of what was happening began to form a chain of guesses. She wondered how the lawyer had managed to get there first, despite the obvious difficulties with transportation. It seemed too suspicious, and Noah began to form a hypothesis about his intentions. The lieutenant general listened to her, noting that the suspicions about the length of the lawyer's trip were not without foundation. His calm but ironic demeanor added intrigue to the discussion. Ritokianus smiled and expressed genuine interest in the mystery, but sarcastically hinted that cooperation with an unpredictable partner required caution. His enigmatic tone raised tension and questions. The lieutenant general noted Noah's busyness, while also reminding him of the important event to come. His tone emphasized the hidden subtext of their dialogue, hinting at deeper plans. Ritokianus's mention of the wedding and the preparations for it left Noah confused. Her eyes showed doubt and slight annoyance, while he maintained an enigmatic half-smile. The arrival of Noah's younger sister, who with tears in her voice declared hunger, filled the situation with unexpected warmth, contrasting with the seriousness of what had been discussed earlier. Noah thanks Ritokianus for coming and introduces him to a little girl, Clara. The girl happily reaches out to the man, showing her affection. The scene is filled with warmth, but Ritokianus looks slightly confused, as if he doesn't know how to react. Noah states that she has already been accepted into the family. Ritokianus's confusion deepens, and Clara watches the conversation with delight. Noah is perplexed as to why he is being called a son-in-law, adding to the comical nature of the situation. Noah sits down next to Clara and asks her worriedly if she is okay. The girl answers seriously, expressing confidence that she can protect herself. Noah seems surprised, but holds back a smile. Clara holds up her clenched fist, proudly claiming that she can persuade anyone with it. She recalls her grandmother calling it her persuasion fist, causing Noah to be mildly shocked. The girl playfully asks if they know what a persuasion fist is, and continues her demonstration. Her determination and the glint in her eyes underscore her confidence, causing Noah to quietly admire her. Clara explains that her brother told her how to use the persuasion fist, adding that it means to act before you get hit. Noah looks slightly puzzled, and the girl confidently pumps her fist as if preparing for a practice session. Upon hearing about Clara's brother, Ritokianus pauses cautiously, asking who is being spoken of. His gaze becomes more focused, creating tension in the scene. Noah decides to calm the situation by gently admonishing Clara not to do it again. She clearly wants to protect the girl from the consequences of her overconfidence in the persuasion fist. Slightly embarrassed, Clara accepts Noah's instruction. A gentle gesture of patting Noah on the head shows his concern, and Clara smiles happily, promising to do better next time. Noah leans over to the girl and gives her some helpful advice. Only hit the places that aren't noticeable. Ritokianus stands nearby smiling as he watches their interaction, and Clara enthusiastically agrees, beaming with joy. Noah watches in confusion as Clara grabs another girl by the hair. She expected to be told to avoid confrontation, but instead, the situation took an unexpected turn. Noah's serious expression underscores her determination to understand what happened and how to deal with it. Ritokianus is surprised to learn that Noah has a brother. The news takes him by surprise, as he has never heard of it. The lieutenant general appears lost in thought, trying to figure out how this information might affect their future relationship. Clara stands next to Noah, and Ace reports that she has discussed what happened with the teachers. The atmosphere around them is filled with spring colors, but the tension between the heroes remains. Ritokayanus silently watches the conversation, his gaze expressing hidden anxiety. Ace explains with a slight smile that because the boy provoked the conflict first, their side need not worry about the consequences. But her words end with the unexpected remark that the boy has been suspended from school for a month, leaving the parties to the conflict to think. While Noah ponders her next move, her friend asks if she will be returning home. Noah replies that she needs to go to headquarters, as the unexpected appearance of the royals has disrupted her plans. Her determination is emphasized by her confident posture and serious tone. Looking around, Noah feels tired from the accumulated tasks. She remembers the sudden visit of dignitaries, which added to her worries. The internal monologue is intertwined with a sense of responsibility to cope with difficulties despite the pressure. Ritokayanus confirms the need to complete the work. His gentle smile and calm tone contrast with the tense atmosphere. He is aware that he has not yet introduced himself, which adds to his charm and mystery. The lieutenant general formally introduces himself as Reth Oceanus and expresses a desire to get to know him better. His manner is elegant and confident, making Noah look at him in a new light. The background lights up with bright reflections, intensifying the moment. Ace, suddenly remembering something important, exclaims that she completely forgot about one detail. Her emotional reaction emphasizes the comedy and enlivens the scene. A mixture of surprise and embarrassment appears on her face, which causes a warm smile from the others. Ace sincerely thanks Ritokayanus for his help, noting how important his support has been in recent days. Rhett politely replies that Noah's family is like his own to him. He offers to turn to him in case of any difficulties, but Ace's modesty is evident in her refusal to take on unnecessary obligations. Ace, a woman with dark hair, stands before Ritokayanus with a sinister smile. She clearly dominates the conversation, showing her confidence. There is an uneasy aura around her figure, which increases the tension. Ritokayanus looks up at her, expressing doubt and hidden irritation. Clara happily runs to Ritokayanus, calling him uncle. She takes his hand and, beaming with happiness, tells him that she likes him. The girl laughs innocently, her happiness contrasting with Ritokayanus's reserved expression, who tries to maintain a smile. As they part, Clara promises Ritokayanus that she will call him the man. Although looking slightly stunned, responds with a humorous phrase. Ace, standing nearby, watches their interaction with a thoughtful expression, not showing her true emotions. The red car speeds across the bridge with Ritokayanus and Ace. She sarcastically remarks on his attempts to charm those around him. In response, he remains calm, driving the car with a slight smile. The tension between them is palpable, but they both hide it behind masks. Ace says that he will reject Ritokayanus to remain on Clara's side. Her sly smile shows that she is enjoying the situation. Ritokayanus, on the other hand, acts coolly, acknowledging the difficulty of her plan, but does not give in to his internal struggle. Ace suddenly asks Ritokayanus about his brother. Her tone is full of curiosity and a slight reproach that he did not tell her about it earlier. Ritokayanus indifferently answers that she never asked such questions. Their conversation is colored with shades of hidden mistrust. Ace asks if Ritokayanus will now talk about his brother. His answers become more open, mentioning his brother's recent escape from home due to an incident. Ace listens thoughtfully, trying to understand the depth of their relationship. Ritokayanus, mentioning his brother, calls him a man who can give him a head start in eccentricity. There is a slight irony in his words, but also a note of respect. Ace, on the contrary, maintains a serious look, evaluating what he heard from the point of view of his strategy. Ace suddenly wonders about Clara's age. She remembers that Ritokayanus used to be completely uninterested in such things. Her tone becomes thoughtful. She looks into the distance, analyzing the changes in her companion's behavior. The end of the conversation maintains a hidden tension. Ace, lost in thoughts of the past and present, ponders how best to approach the situation. Now Ritokayanus remains calm, as if he knows the answers to all her unspoken questions. Ritokianus quietly started a conversation with Noah. He noted that she never discussed important topics with him. She replied that she would have done so if he had taken the initiative to show his vulnerability. Ritokianus wondered why he had avoided talking to Noah for so long. He thought he already understood her feelings, but he still hesitated to act, afraid to take a step that could change everything. He realized that he had been foolish in hiding his true feelings. Instead of being honest, he had only complicated matters further by trying to avoid uncomfortable topics and questions. Despite this realization, he did nothing. Ritokianus tried to convince himself that winning the duel for the sword was meaningful, but he knew it was just an excuse to delay the inevitable conversation with Noah. Noah watched him closely as he made his conclusion. She decided to ask him directly why he had been blocking her promotion, demanding an explanation from him. Ritokianus tried to keep the answers light, telling Noah to wait a bit. His eyes and tone betrayed his confusion, but he wanted to maintain control of the situation without showing his vulnerability. Noah grabbed his face and demanded honesty. She noted that there were still feelings between them and invited him to open up if he was truly committed to taking the next step in their relationship. Her words threw him off balance. Noah asked him to tell her that he loved her. This request was unexpected and seemed frightening to Ritokianus, who was struggling with internal doubts. After a tense pause, Noah expressed confusion. Her disappointment was obvious, and she added that he also needed to explain his other actions, including the sword. Their conversation was interrupted by a man who informed them that Lord Delight wished to see Noah. This sudden intervention eased the tension, but left unresolved issues between them. Lieutenant General Ritokianus listened with restraint to the officer's report that the incident had happened 2 hours earlier. Ritokianus responded coldly, reminding them that such things needed to be reported immediately. The situation escalated when it became clear that the delay was critical. The officer defended himself by claiming that he had tried to pass the message on several times, but each time Ritokianus was not there. The lieutenant general smirked and said that his absence was due to his attempts to avoid boring routine, which irritated his subordinate. Having received the important documents, Ritokianus began to study them. He noticed that Captain Bello had asked him to deliver something to him personally. Slightly intrigued, he allowed the officer to hand over the message, not attaching any importance to its contents. The officer, with an expression of hidden indignation, handed over the letter marked "to be delivered in person." Ritokianus, surprised by the unexpected format, quickly took the envelope, feeling a slight premonition of something unusual, but not yet understanding its essence. Inside the letter was a note from a girl named Clara Bello. She thanked him for his help and invited him to dinner, promising to treat him to something delicious. Her friendliness and sincerity touched Ritokianus, leaving him with a slight smile on his face. Reading the letter, Ritokianus thought with affection that his fiancée's younger sister was a real angel. He did not hide his joy, which puzzled the officer, who was trying to understand what could have caused such a warm reaction in the strict superior. The officer was taken aback by the phrase, "the bride's younger sister." He tried to make sure he had heard correctly, and his confusion caused Ritokianus to smile, barely suppressing his smile as he again became lost in his thoughts. Ritokianus decided that he absolutely had to buy a gift for Clara. His decisiveness and ease of decision-making amazed the officer, who was already accustomed to the general's more formal approach to such matters. As he left the office, Ritokianus stated with firm conviction that such matters could not be postponed. His aura of confidence and readiness for action created an atmosphere of respect and admiration around him, even if the officers did not always understand him. Meanwhile, Noah, furious with Ritokianus's behavior, recalled how he had avoided communication. She vowed that next time she would definitely not leave him alone, ready to act decisively to prevent him from avoiding the conversation again. Noah looked thoughtfully into the distance, holding her weapon in her hands. Ace asked her opinion about the royal knights. This topic seemed important to both of them, because their presence always meant changes, and every detail could carry a hidden meaning. Noah looked collected, but her gaze betrayed anxiety. Ace, sitting on the box, calmly continued her thoughts about the knights, noting their obvious closeness to the king. Noah was not surprised, as if she had already become accustomed to the surprises that followed the appearance of the knights. Their role in politics seemed too ambiguous to be an accident. Ace assumed that the knight's rude interference was clearly connected to ulterior motives. She wiped her weapon as if it helped her focus her thoughts. The atmosphere between them grew increasingly tense, as if they were on the verge of an important discovery. Ace's thoughts turned into an emotional torrent. She was worried about the question, why exactly their region irritated the royal power so much. She remembered past incidents and indignantly mentioned the case when a drunk delight almost started a fire on the ship 7 years ago. This aroused doubts in Noah. Noah wondered about the connection to Flancy when she heard the mention of Delayte. She voiced her suspicions that he might be involved in these events. Her confident tone caused a surge of emotion in Ace. Noah tried to assess the complexity of the situation, realizing that it had become even more difficult to trust anyone. Ace defended Flancy ardently, claiming that he was a holy man. She added that, thanks to him, the quality of life, including food, had improved significantly. Her words were accompanied by genuine surprise and faith in his good intentions. Noah only listened silently, not sharing Ace's optimism. Ace suddenly changed the subject to Noah's promotion, noting that she herself might be promoted to intelligence officer. Her voice was reserved, but her eyes showed how important these changes were to her. It was as if she was looking to Noah for support, hoping for her approval. The news of Ace's possible promotion surprised Noah. She replied that it was unofficial at this point, but that there had been some major changes at headquarters, including plans to introduce a course for the mid-fleet. Noah listened carefully, trying to connect this to the larger story. Ace thought about it, adding that so far, no one from their staff had been promoted. Her words were filled with bewilderment, because such a situation seemed unfair. This made her even more doubtful about the motives of the leadership and wonder about hidden decisions at the top. The conversation between the girls left a feeling of uncertainty. Their worries about the future suspicions about the king's knights and politics were woven into the chain of events. Noah and Ace understood that their lives were about to change, and every little thing could become a clue to the solution. Noah discusses a recent promotion with Lieutenant General Ritoki Anis. She is annoyed to learn that not only was she excluded from the review, but so were all of the candidates on their staff. Her indignation is evident in her body language, and Ritoki Anis maintains a stern composure as she makes her case. Lieutenant General Ritoki Anis explains the situation to Noah. He explains that the decision was made based on other criteria and that these circumstances had nothing to do with the personal qualities of the rejected candidates. Noah listens thoughtfully, but remains internally dissatisfied with this development. Noah approaches Ami to learn more about the reasons behind such a controversial decision. Noah is seen struggling to cope with her irritation, but her confidence in her actions is genuine. Ami, being unaware, looks at her in surprise, but is ready to help. At this time, Ritoki Anis receives another officer, giving him a strict order. His tone and facial expression emphasize his determination and firmness of character, and the officer standing opposite him tensely perceives the words of his superior, preparing to carry out the order. Ritoki Anis ponders the importance of friendly relations between the Navy and the knightly order of the kingdom. Despite his outward calm, his gaze betrays the wariness and apprehension associated with this diplomatic process. In the evening, Ritoki Anis arrives at the country house. In the cozy atmosphere surrounded by the silence of the night and the stars, he is greeted as a long-awaited guest. The warmth of this place is in sharp contrast to his usual military life. Noah angrily asks Clara not to call Ritoki Anis uncle, implying that it is inappropriate for a man of his position. Clara, in her childish stubbornness, ignores the remarks, giving the situation a light touch of humor. Clara happily invites the lieutenant general to dinner. Her radiant smile and childlike sincerity fill the atmosphere with warmth. She looks as if she wants to make this evening special for her guest, despite his stern appearance. Ritoki Anis, unable to suppress a slight smile, sincerely thanks Clara for the invitation. Her charm touches even his stern heart. He emphasizes how smart and charming she is for her age, which makes her embarrassed and proud. Ritoki Anis hands Clara a gift that clearly delights her. She immediately tries to open it, anticipating something incredibly interesting. This gesture symbolizes the sincere gratitude and respect he feels for his little mistress. Ace greets Clara and hands her a gift, expressing goodwill. Clara embarrassed by the attention beams with joy, but holds the box awkwardly as if worried about its contents. Ace smiles warmly, creating an atmosphere of coziness and sincerity. Ace hands the gift to Ritokianis, saying it is only a small token of attention. The lieutenant general, surprised by the thoughtfulness, replies that it was not worth the trouble. Their exchange of glances conveys respect and ease, mixed with gratitude. The gift turns out to be a bottle of expensive wine, which shocks Asa. She thinks that such a purchase cost a lot of effort and money, causing her to laugh inwardly at the absurdity of the situation. Meanwhile, the wine remains a symbol of respect. Clara, inspired by the setting, announces that she will begin cooking dinner. Her energy and enthusiasm fill the space with positivity. She then thanks Uncle Ritokianis for his help, demonstrating her sincere appreciation. Ritokianis asks Clara solicitously if one of the boys is bothering her. She replies that he has been quiet today, but adds the detail of bruises on his arms and legs, which makes the adults suspicious of what has happened. Ace and Ritokianis discuss possible causes of the bruises. Ace suggests that the boy may have fallen, but the details remain unclear. Clara expresses her concern with naive sincerity, showing affection for another character. The evening continues with a cozy family scene. Clara calls everyone to the table, joyfully inviting them to spend time together. The house is lit with soft light, emphasizing the warmth of the family atmosphere and the unity of all present. Ace prepares dinner, trying her best. She apologizes for her poor cooking skills, but Ritokianis assures that everything is delicious. The soft candlelight emphasizes the warmth and harmony at the table. During dinner, Ritokianis particularly praises the seafood stew, adding that it exceeds all expectations. His contented expression conveys genuine gratitude, and the overall atmosphere at the table enhances the feeling of coziness and joy. The dinner takes place in an atmosphere of warmth and joy, emphasizing family values and strengthening the bonds between the characters, creating a sense of completion and satisfaction. Clara happily enjoyed the food enthusiastically, discussing the dishes. Noah, watching her, tried to contain her irritation and reminded the girl of decency, which betrayed her strictness. Despite this, the warm atmosphere of the dinner brought them closer, allowing them to feel the family care. Ritokianis was present at the table, smiling as he watched Clara's appetite. His approval brought genuine joy to the girl, as she always had a desire to please others. She sincerely thanked them for their attention, feeling herself the center of attention. Noah couldn't shake the strange feeling. Her thoughts were full of contradictions. She felt how the unusual warmth of the family environment touched her soul. The realization that she had become part of such a warm relationship filled her with anxiety and quiet joy at the same time. Clara, her eyes shining, thanked her for the gift. Ritokianis looked at her with slight surprise, but it was clear that he was glad for her happiness. Noah, slightly reproaching her sister for her persistence, thought about her spontaneity and sincerity, which she sometimes lacked. Clara, hugging the doll, assured Noah that she had changed. Her words were full of sincerity, as if she really wanted to show that she had grown up and become more serious. Noah, surprised by such revelations, looked at her with a slight smile, but warmth sparkled in her eyes. Clara remembered how adults used to spoil her with treats and money. Now she realized that love and attention were truly received for merits, and not just like that. This thought made her slightly sad, but she still found joy in small manifestations of care. Ritokianis could hardly contain his laughter, watching Clara's lively emotions. The girl turned to Noah with a question about why her uncle looked so thoughtful. Noah, slightly shrugging her shoulders, assumed that he simply wanted privacy, but the smile on her face gave away her mood. Ace finished serving the dessert, and having collected the dishes, was preparing to leave Clara beaming with joy. Sincerely thanked for the delicious pudding, which left a warm impression, Ace enjoyed this sincerity with a slight smile, understanding how important these moments were for the girl. Ritokianis volunteered to help Ace with the dishes, but she declined with a gentle smile. She suggested that he spend more time with Clara, and she easily took on the cleaning. Noah watched them, feeling how the atmosphere of the house was filled with care and warmth. Clara asked Ritokianis to spend time with her to call her wish an honor. He agreed with a slight smile, understanding how much these moments meant to the girl. The warm sunlight through the windows added even more comfort to these moments. Clara shows a mysterious rabbit toy with a knife, introducing it as her protector. Noah remembers that this rabbit is depicted on the invitation and is surprised by its strange appearance. However, the toy seems sinister to her, and the girl cannot understand why he is holding a weapon. Ritokianus confirms that the rabbit with the knife is the toy associated with their mission. His calm but slightly mocking smile causes Noah to ask even more questions about the unusual talisman, which suddenly becomes the central figure in the discussion. Clara insists that the rabbit is on her side and serves as a punishment for those who violate sanitary laws, especially in animal husbandry. Her inspired speech sounds so serious that Ritokianus cannot help but laugh, struck by her unusual approach to justice. Clara's sudden smile makes Ritokianus suspicious. He looks at her with a slight fear and bewilderment, feeling that her words hide something more than a simple child's play. He begins to doubt her innocence. Clara announces that a new assistant will join their team today. Her enthusiasm underlines the importance of the event, and Noah, seemingly unaware of his new role, watches the proceedings with quiet surprise. Ritokianus realizes that the situation is taking an unexpected turn. Clara suddenly asks Ritokianus about his plans to marry her sister. Her directness and innocent curiosity astonish him. He tries not to show his confusion, but he can't hide a slight blush. Ritokianus admits that he would like to marry Noah, but his words sound uncertain. Clara watches his reaction with interest, and Noah tries to steer the conversation in a lighter direction while remaining slightly embarrassed. Clara decides not to help Ritokianus with his plans, claiming that it violates her own rules. The lieutenant general looks at her in surprise, realizing that her small but determined figure hides an indomitable spirit. Clara points out that third-party intervention in love affairs rarely ends well. She says this with a serious expression, holding herself confidently, while Ritokianus begins to realize the full complexity of his situation. After the conversation, Ritokianus leaves their home. Clara and Noah remain with as who watches with silent calm. The farewell is filled with slight tension, but each of them understands that their story is only just beginning. Ace, with a friendly smile, offers the guests more tea. Her refined manner emphasizes the warm atmosphere, but behind this polite gesture, one can guess the hidden tension which causes slight uneasiness among those present. This moment foreshadows further events. Noah and Ritokianus find themselves in the middle of a heated argument. She accuses him of only supporting Ace because of the expensive wine he gave her. He calmly replies that he will not stay long as the morning promises to be tense. Their confrontation hints at a deeper conflict. Ace sees the guests off and warmly reminds them to be careful. Her words sound almost maternal, creating the illusion of care. But there is something in her eyes that makes Noah wary. This episode increases the tension between the characters. Noah turns to Ritokianus, noticing the chill in the night air. She reminds him of his duties, though there is an undercurrent of worry in her voice. A strange sense of distance grows between them, as if they are standing on opposite sides of an invisible wall. Ritokianus teases Noah with a gentle smile, asking why she is still outside. His playful tone leaves her with mixed feelings. She barely holds back her anger, offended by his carelessness. This moment reveals the contradictions of their relationship. Noah's sudden gesture makes Ritokianus freeze. She puts her finger to his lips, violating their personal boundaries. He is confused, and her confidence in this action seems like an attempt to take control of the situation. This exacerbates the tension between them. Noah sternly reminds Ritokianus of the agreement he promised to fulfill. Her eyes are blazing with determination, and her voice is firm. There is a note of disappointment in her tone, as if she has already encountered his broken promises more than once. She muses to herself how long she thought Ritokianus was playing with her emotions. But now her patience is wearing thin, and she is determined to find out the truth. Her internal monologue heightens the drama of what is happening. Noah wonders why he can't tell her he loves her. She holds his hand, and the touch seems to speak louder than her words. Her despair and hope merge, creating a moment of fragile intimacy. Ritokianus feels the invisible wall of alienation between them, becoming more and more tangible. Noah, turning away, firmly decides not to be the first to confess his feelings. He understands that her pain is caused by his own indecisiveness, but still remains aloof. Ritoke and Noah meet at a house with a red vintage car in the background, discussing something important. Their postures convey tension, and Noah seems to be hiding something. The lieutenant general asks what she is afraid of, showing concern and authority. Ami is complaining about an incident in the cafeteria. Someone started a fight during breakfast. Her emotions are irritated. She is indignant. Compared to Noah, she looks indifferent but listens to the story. Noah, remaining calm, reveals that she is the captain herself. Ami ignores this fact, claiming that she knows everyone by name, emphasizing her attention to detail. Ami threatens to tell the lieutenant general, calling him a crazy dog. The cartoonish drawings of the characters reflect the conflict and humor in their dialogue. A box of food appears on the table, along with a note containing important information. It is an order from General Flancy, asking him to look into the situation. Tensions rise, but Noah keeps his cool. Reading the note carefully, Noah is surprised by the mention of information restrictions. Her expression conveys a mixture of surprise and thoughtfulness, emphasizing the importance of the document. In the dialogue, Amai questions Noah's ability to handle the task. Noah responds with sarcasm, noting the trust that is being placed in her. There is a slight tension between them. Noah reveals the importance of the information by mentioning the warden, who may be trying to hide it. She holds a sandwich in her hands, symbolizing a familiar environment amidst a hidden threat. The background of the ship says that only an admiral can control information at the level of a lieutenant general. This emphasizes the scale and seriousness of the conflict. Ritoki is presented in His Majesty in uniform with a cold gaze. He is the highest level of the command structure, which confirms his power and influence in the events that take place. The captaincy remains vacant, but only one man can fill it. Ritoki is depicted in a pensive mood, his figure full of grandeur and mystery, hinting at his importance in the events to come. Ami thinks about General Flancy, fearing that his actions may be connected to something suspicious. However, she is reluctant to make baseless accusations, struggling with her inner doubts. Noah finds the note and is surprised to find out about the mysterious number written on the back. Her curiosity and suspicion gradually increase, foreshadowing the revelation of the secret. At a meeting with Ami, Noah learns that the number is a record of the arrival and departure of a major general from the rear headquarters. The discovery raises even more questions about the conspiracies going on. Noah begins to remember the day she met Sir Delight. Her thoughts take her to a moment where General Flancy was mysteriously absent, increasing her suspicions. She remembers that Sir Delight was late in arriving. In this memory, the strange figure of a man stands out, which suggests a deliberate concealment of the truth. Ritoki smiles with an enigmatic expression, leading Noah to wonder about his role in the situation. His secrecy raises suspicions about his true motives. A note with a cryptic message found enrages Noah. Her determination to expose all those involved is strengthened, and she is ready to take any action to protect the truth. A secret envelope appears on the table. Inside is hidden information that could shed light on the actions of General Flancy and his connections to Sir Delight. During a meeting with Ritoki, it is revealed that General Flancy and Sir Delight were in contact the day Noah left for school, confirming her suspicions and opening up new avenues for further investigation. Ritoki leans wearily on his arm, surveying the establishment that he dislikes. He barely conceals his irritation and sarcasm as he discusses the unexpected appearance of one of the guests. He clearly dislikes the atmosphere and makes it clear that the situation has gone beyond acceptable limits. An officer in full dress uniform approaches Ritoki, hinting with an undisguised degree of mockery at the bravery that often borders on stupidity. Ritoki, without hiding his position, dryly remarks that the man should not be here. Their exchange of glances is full of tension. The officer, with a barely noticeable smile, is confident in his position. He reminds that everything has been decided and it is too late to retreat. His calmness slightly throws Ritoki off balance, but he quickly pulls himself together. Now they both know that things have gone too far. The new guest is clearly nervous, his movements betraying fear and uncertainty. Ritoki watches him with icy calm, realizing that he has no choice. A slight shadow of satisfaction plays on his face, because the situation is developing as he planned. The guest, obviously uncomfortable, receives strict orders to solve his problem before Ritokianis returns. He makes it clear that retreat is impossible, but he adds a note of irony, promising a reward for the completed task. His words hide a cold calculation. Ritokianis looks the officer straight in the eye, challenging him. His red eyes glow with confidence, as if he already anticipates the next move. The officer's words, trying to turn the situation into a joke, evoke no emotion in him except mockery. The officer leaves, not hiding his self-confidence, but Ritokianis does not look away. He understands that this game is just beginning, and he intends to see it through to the end. Behind him, a clock is visible, symbolizing the limited time for the implementation of their plans. Ame, one of the people present, notices the strange expression on Ritokianis' face and asks a question, but he waves it off, diverting the conversation and claiming that he simply remembered something important. However, from his expression, it is clear that the thought that has come to his mind is troubling him. Ritokianis suddenly suggests leaving the guest alone until someone comes along who can resolve the situation. His words are softer, but there is a new plan behind them. He carefully chooses the moment to turn the situation in his favor. The guest sarcastically replies that the responsibility for what is happening falls on Ritokianis if he continues to tease him. But despite his outward confidence, the guest clearly realizes that he is under Ritokianis' control. The officer's last phrase only confirms this. In a thoughtful conversation, two military men discuss their fate, comparing life to a long voyage on cement ships. There is a philosophical undertone to the exchange, as well as an ironic look at the difficulties they face, hinting at resilience in the face of future challenges. One of the characters recalls his family describing his wife as a wild animal, and his children as inheriting this animal energy. The images of animals and animal heritage fill the scene with a vivid metaphor, creating a sense of unbridled power hidden in their family life. Ritokianis is decisive in his dialogue about his willingness to cope with difficulties. He acknowledges the unfairness of the situation, but firmly states that he cannot allow himself to break. There is a mixture of pride, anger, and a desire to prove his resilience in his words. Speaking of the important duties, Ritokianis assures his interlocutor that all arrangements with the king have been completed. His confidence is reinforced by the knowledge that the senior officer notified the monarch in a timely manner, despite the doubts of those around him. An underlying tension manifests itself in the thought that the king may demand a stern explanation for the decision taken. However, this feeling quickly turns to indignation when Ritokianis notices the unfairness of the potential reproaches, doubting the rationality of those who criticize. A slight sneer enters the conversation when the other notes the similarity of views with the lieutenant general. The comment makes Ritokianis chuckle, emphasizing their shared complicity in the difficult choice and hinting at their similar madness in the performance of duty. The mention of training with the knights causes Ritokianis to smile slightly. He quietly confirms that he will be heading to the training grounds in preparation for the physical tests. His self-confidence highlights his inner strength and calm. The recruits are surprised to see horse-drawn carriages being used for transportation in this area. This causes a slight hint of surprise, as even in the capital, such transport has not become common. Their reaction adds a touch of culture shock to the scene. One of the young soldiers recalls today's breakfast with irritation, hinting at its tastelessness. This small detail adds humor to the overall picture, showing that even in the midst of serious events, everyday trifles still excite. On the table are delicious croissants, emitting the aroma of butter. They are simple but bright. The scene symbolizes a moment of calm in the hustle and bustle, reminding us of the value of such small pleasures. The team admires the sumptuous dinner, noting the variety of dishes. The bright salads, the choice of sauces. Everything seems incredibly festive. It causes delight and a feeling of surprising contrast with the usual standards of their life. One group member emotionally claims it is like a buffet, marveling at the level of food. Others discuss whether the troops eat like this every day, adding to the mystery of their new surroundings. Ami expresses doubt, suggesting that such a reception was arranged specifically for the sake of impression. But her friend Noah is sure of the opposite. The scale of the organization rules out such a thing. Tensions rise and the participants begin to ponder hidden motives. A man in a dark uniform, with an authoritative voice, cuts off their guesses, urging everyone to focus on the purpose of the visit. He reminds the group of their responsibilities and puts them in an awkward position, emphasizing the importance of discipline. The host asks the group a direct question in a stern tone. Did they really come here for fun? One of the participants sheepishly denies it. The situation becomes tense because everyone is now expected to give their all. After a tense exchange, a man with white hair approaches the group and greets them. He introduces himself as Dur Ice, the representative of the Specials Command. His confident demeanor and manner emphasize the importance of his role. Lieutenant General Dur Ice shakes hands with the group's commander, Giber. The senior knight thanks them for the opportunity to train together, emphasizing that it is an honor to work with elite troops. A tall girl with long golden hair and a stern look appears on the horizon. Her elegance and powerful presence are admired. This is Noah, who despite her external beauty, immediately sets a serious tone. A group of military personnel discuss Noah's behavior and her extraordinary fortitude. They admire her, but understand that her presence requires maximum concentration from everyone. All this increases the tension among the participants. The story ends with the expectation of a joint training session. The atmosphere becomes serious, and each of the participants realizes the importance of what is happening. Lieutenant General Dur Ice concludes the briefing by assuring them of the importance of their mission. Ritoke confidently demonstrating his leadership qualities, addresses the group of participants, raising an important issue. His serious tone hints at the difficult task ahead, and his gaze shows that he expects a clear answer and readiness from his subordinates. The team members listen carefully to Ritoke, who singles them out as part of the special ones. This makes some feel proud, but it also weighs heavily on their shoulders. They understand that their mission is associated with great risks and opportunities. A young man in uniform poses a provocative question about the capabilities of the ships, testing the limits of what they are allowed to do. His interest in personal transport causes tension among the assembled group, and it seems that this moment may become the key to their discussion. Ritoke smiles wryly as he explains that owning a personal ship requires great effort, emphasizing that such opportunities are only available under exceptional circumstances, and that only a few are able to take full advantage of them. Ami, standing with other team members, is skeptical about the equipment provided. Her critical comment, echoed by her partner next to her, shows that not everyone shares the enthusiasm for the value of the equipment provided. The question of safety between men and women suddenly turns the atmosphere tense. Tense glances and angry expressions make it clear that this question touches on hidden problems in the team that require immediate solutions. The conflict escalates into an emotional altercation where threats and ridicule intertwine. Team members begin to lose their temper, but restraint and professionalism prevail. The situation heats up, but the participants understand that their common goal is at stake. Noah takes the initiative, offering to test the equipment in practice. Her quiet confidence and charisma make the others shut up and listen. Everyone understands that her offer is not just words, but an opportunity to prove herself. The team is shown unusual devices that they must master in order to operate the vehicle. It is explained that this complex equipment is offered specifically for training, and its correct use can be decisive in future missions. One of the participants notes that such devices often cause difficulties for newcomers. However, there is a readiness in his voice to overcome any obstacles because the team realizes that their success depends on joint efforts and discipline. Lieutenant General Ritoke is confident that everything will go well with the Royal Knights, his gaze reflecting strength and confidence in the future, despite the difficult task that lies ahead. The three knights discuss the new task, mentioning that the idea of walking on water sounds like a fun ride. The lightness of their dialogue does not hide their excitement, because an unusual challenge awaits them. Upon arrival at the beach, the commander orders the preparation of protective equipment to successfully complete the training. The soldiers, despite hidden doubts, respond energetically, demonstrating readiness for action. During the briefing, the simplicity of the task is demonstrated. The equipment is put on, and you just need to swim to the designated point. Ritoke speaks confidently, showing that this is possible if you follow the rules. The lieutenant general demonstrates how to use the equipment correctly. His gestures are confident, and his gaze leaves no doubt. He expects his subordinates to follow through attentively. One of the knights lifts the protective gear, surprised by its weight, about 40 kilograms. This becomes the first challenge for the group, as the weight makes them doubt their abilities. A detailed description of the equipment follows. It was created by the magical Yahello family. Its uniqueness lies in the fact that it combines advanced technology and the magic of the kingdom. The test begins, and one of the participants successfully navigates the water, demonstrating the power of the equipment. Even in emergency situations, it allows you to save yourself by staying afloat. It is revealed that the lieutenant general himself once considered this masterpiece unfinished. He jokes that, for the first time, he felt as if he was carrying a house on his back. The result of the test was difficult. The knights are lying on the shore exhausted by the load. Ritokianus looks at them, thoughtfully assessing the result of the training, but notes that this is an important step towards their development. A young man comes to on a beach. He lies exhausted, looking at the sky. A seagull flies up next to him as if greeting him. Its weak moan hints at a long and difficult fight for life. It seems he has just survived some mysterious incident. The other soldiers, including a tall man with white hair, Ritokianus, look worried but quickly calm down when they see that the boy is alive. One of the officers jokingly offers to come visit, but is refused. The boy's older sister is clearly not thrilled about new acquaintances. On the beach, a boy notices something unusual on his body. His hand is shaking, and his expression is clearly confused. He realizes that he is wearing something strange, not appropriate for a normal situation. His words indicate surprise. He does not understand how he can use this object normally. The boy remembers trying to find information about a ship. He has trouble collecting his thoughts, but the memory seems important. The sounds and actions around him cannot distract him, and questions about the purpose and consequences of this search swarm in his head. Despite his weakness, the boy resolutely comes to his senses. He concludes that he has no choice but to use his last strength. His face expresses an internal struggle and determination that resonates in his every move. Guests and waiters are animatedly discussing the day, thanking each other for a job well done. The atmosphere is festive, despite the slight chaos. There is a sense of warmth and unity in the air. At one of the tables, a man in light clothes, with a playful grin, tries to relax, but his interlocutor, a fair-haired bartender, is indignant. He accuses the guest of having to open the establishment in broad daylight, disrupting their plans for the holiday. The white-haired man laughs at the situation, reminding them how nice it is to earn money. The bartender looks at him with slight annoyance, but continues the conversation. There is a clear connection between them, like old acquaintances. The white-haired man decides to add humor to the conversation by offering to bill the expenses to the Navy. The bartender points out that this is too much, but seems willing to give in. The atmosphere lightens up a bit, and a hint of sarcasm is heard. The scene ends with a dialogue in which the white-haired man claims that he is a simple and honest soldier. However, the bartender objects. Someone who brings his subordinates out to drink during the day can hardly be considered honest. The evening continues filled with smiles and light playfulness. Soldiers have gathered in a noisy tavern. The chief military chaplain stands out among them, his charisma and radiant appearance attracting attention. His presence raises questions, as he is rarely seen outside of ceremonies. The atmosphere becomes lively. The chaplain shows off his charisma by offering the soldiers an unusual entertainment. He pours drinks, claiming that it is the will of heaven. The soldiers are delighted to see his confidence and unusual way to boost morale. The soldiers are amazed by the chaplain's sincerity and his unique style. They discuss what is happening, not believing that they have witnessed such a miracle. The conversations are full of joy and surprise, as if they received not only drinks, but also a boost of inspiration. A dialogue breaks out among the soldiers about how such events are conducted in other units. One of them shares his concerns about the future of the country, showing that even in such moments of joy, soldiers are not immune to serious reflection. Ritokianus, a lieutenant general, with white hair and red eyes, addresses his comrade with a question about the execution of his assignment. He is calm, but his confidence conveys the seriousness of the situation and the importance of the mission. His companion, without wasting time, hands Ritokianus a bundle of documents. According to him, the general is the best candidate for this task. This causes Ritokianus to smile slightly, because he is confident in his abilities. The general jokingly replies that he is only good at his job, but that he cares little about anything else. His words bring smiles to those who hear them, creating a more relaxed atmosphere among those present. Ritoki Anus's comrade touches on a personal issue, asking about his meetings with the mysterious girl. The general avoids a direct answer, showing that he does not wish to discuss personal matters, especially in such a noisy company. The soldier notices that this looks sad. His words sound slightly ironic, but they convey a desire to better understand his general. A casual rapport is established between them. Finally, the comrade makes an important remark about the girl, hinting at her special place in Ritoki Anus's life. The general confirms this with a slight smile, leaving a mysterious intrigue in the air. In a cozy tavern, Lieutenant General Ritoki Anus, a man with white hair and red eyes, discusses a difficult situation with the bartender. The bartender advises to let go of a woman with whom something unusual is connected. But Ritoki Anus, with a slight smile, admits that this is exactly how he was loved. Clara, a small blonde with blue eyes, suddenly feels anxious in class. She feels that something bad is connected to her older sister. Her friends in class ask her how she knows this, but Clara is sure that her intuition is right. Clara's friends try to understand why she is so sure. She claims that it is a woman's intuition, which is always right. This causes a mixture of surprise and laughter among her classmates, who begin to actively discuss Clara's mysterious feeling. The conversation becomes more serious when one of the friends asks if Clara's older sister has a boyfriend. Clara reveals that there is someone her sister likes, causing a lively discussion and a wave of emotion in the class. Clara clarifies that she knows this person, but there is a problem with him. Her classmates, excited by her words, begin to guess what kind of person this is, becoming more and more carried away by this romantic discussion. Clara adds drama by revealing that the man has a dangerous nickname, Crazy Dog. This news stuns everyone, and some begin to fear that this man may cause trouble for her sister. Despite the creepy nickname, one of his friends points out that he's probably handsome. Clara, with a mixed expression on her face, agrees, but adds that looks aren't everything, moving the topic into a more philosophical direction. Classmates continue to tease him, noticing that Clara has repeated his appearance several times. They consider it praiseworthy, and everything begins to resemble a scene from a movie filled with drama and romance. Clara explains that this man may be good, but he is still a serious problem. This makes everyone think about how dangerous her sister's choice is. In the end, the discussion ends with the fact that despite all the dangers, feelings and beauty do not depend on words and nicknames. Clara and her classmates leave the topic, but in their hearts, there remains a slight worry for Clara's sister. In a school classroom, a young student complains to his teacher with a serious expression about the girls who are talking loudly again. He tries to show his diligence by raising his hand, while behind him, the girls quietly giggle, disrupting the order and causing surprise to the teacher. The teacher, addressing the class, urges the students not to be distracted and to concentrate on reading the book. Her calm voice drowns out the light noise, and the girls, noticing the seriousness of the moment, humbly agree. But their lively behavior still leaves a hint of possible mischief. The blonde, golden-haired boy, casting a mocking glance at the girls, silently notes their behavior with irritation. The teacher notices his tense state and warns him to behave decently, setting an example for his classmates. A girl with long golden curls. Clara looks upset. She sits at her desk, wiping away tears, and thinks anxiously about the situation. She attracts the attention of a classmate who asks curiously if she is okay. The young man standing at the board suddenly begins to defend himself when Clara notices his attention to her. His reaction becomes violent. He denies everything that could hint at his sympathy, causing laughter from those around him. Clara feels hurt and humiliated, but sympathetic classmates appear nearby, trying to support her. Her tears attract attention, and one of the boys remarks that the worst thing is to see a girl crying, trying to console her. Clara despairingly says that her sister and someone else have already told her how things could be better. Her words reveal the hidden resentment that has been building up in her soul, revealing her inner vulnerability. One of the boys thinks about how teenagers often act immaturely as they grow up, targeting their crushes with crude jokes or teasing. This realization makes him think about his own behavior. A classmate advises another boy to be honest and just admit his feelings if he really likes Clara. The embarrassment and rage on the blonde's face betray his inner struggle, but he continues to deny everything with vehemence. The boy sarcastically remarks that his father could punish everyone for such behavior. His words, however, have no effect, as the interlocutor calmly reminds him of his noble origin, ending the scene with a slight ironic note. The golden-haired, green-eyed youth threatens to say that once his father completes his work, there will be major changes. His face expresses rage, creating tension, and emphasizing the importance of what is happening. The man in glasses calmly answers with a short and firm "no." His restraint contrasts with the stormy reaction of his interlocutor. The atmosphere in the classroom is tense, as if every second is filled with hidden conflict. The bespectacled young man confidently declares that the Navy will protect the Southern territories. His words sound like a promise and command respect, and the warm light in the background adds to the drama of the moment. In another room, the maids are discussing the new hero. The younger blonde happily confirms that he is the same smart young man with glasses. Their conversation seems light and casual, adding a little warmth to the overall plot. Clara smiles and says that the hero in glasses is her best friend. However, her friend notes that friendship between a man and a woman is impossible, emphasizing the inevitability of love or hate. Their dialogue is full of hidden emotions. Clara is genuinely interested in what love and hate are. The question takes everyone by surprise, but the girl's innocence makes the scene touching. The blonde, embarrassed, changes the topic to homework to avoid complex explanations. Clara walks thoughtfully up the stairs, and the maids continue to discuss how they shouldn't have taught the girl such things. They discuss the complexity of modern youth with a bit of humor and surprise. While washing the dishes, one of the women suddenly asks how the relationship with the lieutenant general is going. The question seems unexpected, and the pause in the conversation adds intrigue and anticipation. The girl with long blonde hair seriously admits that she has accepted the proposal. Her calmness and determination are admirable, and the warm candlelight enhances the romance of the moment. Ami is shocked by the confession and asks in surprise if it is really true. However, the blonde sadly notes that her offer was rejected. The emotional tension reaches its peak, leaving a feeling of incompleteness. Ami, with a slight smile, remarks how one can go to a wedding after a serious quarrel. Her look is skeptical, but she remains calm, showing that her opinion is important, albeit slightly mockingly. In the cozy kitchen filled with light, Ami shares her thoughts, confident that Noah likes her. She watches the blonde carefully, who calmly goes about her business. Noah looks away thoughtfully, reflecting on her desires that she had voiced earlier. Her face betrays an internal struggle, hinting at a conflict between reason and feelings. The evening light underscores the solemnity of the moment. Noah and her companion discuss her hesitation to come clean and tell about her failed promotion. However, his confidence suggests hidden support and hope. Noah's gaze returns to the kitchen space, where her thoughts are interspersed with admiration for the simplicity of the moment. She realizes that despite the difficulties, her feelings for this man remain genuine. In a room, 3 young men sit at a table and discuss the appearance of their friend, ironically calling him a zombie. The atmosphere is tense with light mockery, giving the scene a touch of humor. A group of knights go out for special training. Noah watches them from afar, amazed at their determination. Her thoughts are filled with questions. Why are they doing this, and what does it mean to them? There is a discussion around the long table. One of the participants calls the preparation hell, confirming its difficulty. They realize that even if they are special, they will not be treated preferentially. The food on her plate gives Noah mixed feelings. She hears someone joke about a private ship, which makes her smile, although her mind is still on something important. The white-haired girl tells of her admiration for one of her comrades caused by his reputation. However, it soon becomes clear that for him, training has become a test that he strives to overcome at any cost. The young man sat at the table with a serious and thoughtful expression on his face. His thoughts were focused on how he had voluntarily agreed to these tests. In the heavy atmosphere of the room, he tried to understand what motivated him and how to overcome his inner doubts. The cadets gathered in the mess hall, tired and depressed. They discussed how the rigors of the training were sapping their energy. One of them noted that food no longer helped restore their energy. The general atmosphere of tension was supplemented by quiet complaints and hints of despair. The constant training that the cadets had to do exhausted them to the limit. Exhausting loads, jumping, running with backpacks and falls became their daily routine. The young man realized that such a routine was becoming a real test of endurance for them. The instructor, with a bright smile, tried to inspire the group. He explained that this was the basic training needed to operate the vessel. His optimism seemed out of place against the backdrop of their fatigue, but he continued to convince them that only discipline would lead to success. The cadets discussed the events emotionally. One of them, unable to contain himself, expressed anger, accusing the instructor of intentionally wearing them down. Others reminded that everyone goes through this training. Their conversation was seething with emotion, but everyone tried to find support in it. The group decided to move to a quieter place to continue the discussion. One of the cadets took the initiative, suggesting to organize and calm down. Despite the fatigue, they tried to stay motivated and ready for further action. In the storage room, the cadets exchanged thoughts. One of them reasoned that this was their territory and compared the situation to wild animals that cannot find their way to the sea. Their conversation was filled with philosophical reflections on overcoming boundaries. The situation became increasingly tense. One of the cadets suggested waiting 2 days before making an important decision. His confidence and determination inspired the others. They began to discuss how best to prepare for the next step. In the tense silence, the news broke that a ship from the kingdom would arrive in 3 days. This news filled the cadets with hope. They realized that the hard days of training were coming to an end, and that something great was ahead of them. The cadets, united in their common trials, began to believe in themselves. Despite the difficulties, they felt that their efforts would soon be justified. This thought became their driving force, strengthening their determination to finish what they had started and achieve their goal. In a tensely silent room, the hero sits on the floor, thoughtfully fingering a black card. His concentration is interrupted by a discussion of the arrival of an important general, which clearly adds importance to what is happening. The hero holds the card up to the light, examining it. The question of what this object is sounds almost rhetorical. It becomes clear that this is the key to the arsenal delivered by a mysterious guard, whose role in this plan remains behind the scenes. With determination in his eyes, the hero explains that a ship is due to arrive tonight. All he has to do is steal it. He says these words as if it were an ordinary matter, but there is tension in his voice and a hidden excitement in his eyes. His comrade, with a cold expression on his face, asks a direct question, as if questioning the reality of what he has planned. This short pause seems like an eternity, but the hero answers with restraint that it is possible despite all the difficulty. His blonde comrade points out that this is the naval headquarters, the most secure location in the kingdom. This adds drama to the situation and underlines the risk they are willing to take. The hero, sitting in the corner of the room, peers into the boxes of supplies. His figure seems withdrawn. He understands that the undertaking is far from simple, and a shadow of doubt runs across his face, although he tries to hide it. The hero's internal monologue reveals his thoughts. He admits to himself that what he has planned borders on betrayal. This admission is accompanied by a mixture of guilt and determination, making the reader feel the tension of his dilemma. However, the hero finds the strength to justify his actions. He reminds himself and others that the goal of all this is money. This argument sounds like a last attempt to convince not only his comrades, but himself as well. The hero checks the cargo with his team. He tries to inspire everyone with confidence, saying that it is possible. One of the comrades apologizes for his excitement, showing that fear is still present. The hero's gaze becomes cold, but confident. He promises that they will never be caught, and this final phrase sounds like an oath. His face reflects the determination that has now infected all participants in the plan. In a warehouse surrounded by crates, 2 men prepare to leave. They realize that their long absence may arouse suspicion. One of them, showing persistence, completes the preparations, reflecting an anxious but determined mood. A man with white hair and red eyes, Ritakianus, smiles as he contemplates persuasion tactics. His gaze sparkles with cunning, hinting at a plan that will bring about the desired result. His air of confidence heightens the tension. The picture of a castle by the sea at night brings to mind the calm before the storm. The moon illuminates the majestic towers, creating a contrast between the external idol and the hidden intrigue. A difficult road awaits the heroes. A question is heard from inside the room about the arrival of a private ship. The young officer is clearly confused by the unexpected news, but his interlocutor in a blue uniform remains calm, emphasizing his authority. An officer in uniform praises his comrade's hard work, reminding him of the need for official permission. His confidence and approval encourage his interlocutor to make a bold decision, reinforcing his optimism. The young man expresses enthusiasm and joy, hoping for good luck. His sincere emotions contrast with the reserved calm of the others, creating a lively atmosphere of the moment. The handshake between the heroes symbolizes the union and mutual respect. It is a significant honor for them. The smiles emphasize the sincerity of their intentions and confidence in success. The officer mentions the difficulty of the task of operating the weapon. His words emphasize that even the most experienced face difficulties causing admiration and respect. The young man recalls the officer's past achievements, calling him a hero. This moment emphasizes recognition of merit, but the officer modestly denies his leadership, emphasizing teamwork. The man admits that at that time he was only a graduate of the academy, and the real hero is a lieutenant general. His sincerity and respect for his superiors emphasize his nobility and humility. Ritoki, a lieutenant general with an impeccable reputation, walks down the corridor with a junior officer who excitedly mentions the commander's merits. The man silently accepts the praise, maintaining a stern posture and an impassive expression, projecting confidence and authority. Noah, a cold-eyed blonde, sits at the table, pondering the situation. Dark thoughts swarming through her mind, reflected in her clenched fists and piercing gaze. Her decision is absolute. She is ready to eliminate those who threaten her plans. An officer enters Noah's office with concern, reporting news of Ritoki actions. He appears confused and embarrassed by her commanding presence. Noah, frowning slightly, clarifies the details, analyzing what he has heard, and instantly forming a new plan of action. The officer confirms that everyone is on missions except Noah. Her eyes gleam with hidden determination. She ignores the officer's attempts to justify herself, focusing on regaining control of the situation, despite the apparent chaos of events. Ritoki stands at the window, watching the city. His gaze directed into the distance betrays inner doubts. Thoughts about the complexities of love and hate rush through his mind, mixed with anxiety for his own plans, which are unfolding in an unknown direction. Noah decides that she must fight Ritoki once more. But on her own terms, she recalls their previous encounter and concludes that she must cast aside all restraints to win. Her gaze is full of determination and cold fury, emphasizing her iron character. Ritoki walks along a picturesque path, with an officer admiring the tranquility and beauty of the place. His calm seems out of place, for there is a premonition of impending conflict nearby. The officer, slightly nervous, tries to maintain a casual conversation. The officer ponders the security and strict surveillance of this location, knowing that it is used for critical operations. His tension mounts, but Ritoki suddenly interrupts his thoughts, confirming that the location is perfectly disguised as something innocent. The lieutenant general reveals that only a select few, including himself, have access to this location. He shows the officer a security card confirming the uniqueness and secrecy of this facility, causing the subordinate to express a mixture of admiration and bewilderment. The conversation ends with a light joke, but Ritoki hides his true intentions behind a smile. His subtle movements and calm inspire confidence, but even the officer can see that behind the external good nature, there is cold calculation. Ritoki, amazed by the magical shield he saw, appreciates the scale of the defense, which clearly exceeds his expectations. His companion confirms with a smile that the security in their domain has always been high, which inspires respect for their efforts. The couple walks towards the gate. Ritoki, still surprised, watches every step as his companion confidently opens the gate and invites them inside. The sunset is visible on the horizon, creating an atmosphere full of mystery and anticipation. Sir Delight confirms his findings by addressing Knight Farrat and General Flinzy. He emphasizes that everyone is involved in the matter under discussion. The atmosphere becomes tense. The intrigue only intensifies. General Ritoki studies the documents, noting the aristocracy of the Delight family. He muses that there is no point in a child of such a prestigious line attending a regular school. It is as if echoes of past conflicts fill the air. The story moves to the childhood of one of the characters, when the Delight family's financial situation was on the verge of bankruptcy. The young man looked desperate, but remained determined to fight for a better future. Ritokianus remembers a family lawyer he met in school, but it turns out he was actually an immigration broker, adding layers to the events that unfold. The story takes on a darker tone. In an attempt to provide tutors, the hero even resorted to gambling. Ritokianus assesses his behavior as pathetic, but cannot hide a slight bitterness in his assessment. Suddenly, Noah the captain with the shining blue eyes enters the room. Her sharp voice interrupts Ritokianus's thoughts, causing him to fall silent in surprise. The atmosphere becomes even more tense. Ritokianus, still stunned by the unexpected appearance, turns to Noah. She remains calm, but there is a hidden determination in her gaze. Behind her, another participant in their discussion is visible. Noah, looking intently at Ritokianus, asks him a question about tomorrow evening. Her voice sounds firm, leaving the feeling that behind her words, there is an important plan that will change the course of events. Lieutenant General Ritokianus and Noah meet in a conference room. The girl shyly asks if he is asking her out on a date. The man, stunned, confirms. The atmosphere in the room becomes tense, and their colleagues watch this unexpected turn of events with interest. With blue eyes full of determination, Noah asks Ritokianus to go on a date tomorrow if he has nothing to do. Her sincere and direct tone knocks the man out of his usual calm. This offer makes him forget about his status for a moment. Ritokianus, confused, covers his face with his hand, trying to hide his confusion. His colleagues sitting next to him try to suppress their laughter, watching his reaction. They exchange glances, clearly enjoying the informality of the situation. One of the officers suggests that Noah continue the evening at the hotel, adding a humorous detail about preparing the linen, which she liked. This comment completely destroys the seriousness of the moment. The atmosphere becomes almost comical, but Noah remains confident. Ritokianus tries to change the subject, as if to suggest Noah try something else. Noah is indignant, trying to figure out which of them should feel embarrassed. It's an emotional moment that's both dramatic and funny. Ritokianus's smile returns when he asks why Noah is so flustered. He suggests that she not be shy and say it straight out. Noah, in turn, begins to doubt which of the two should be more embarrassed. Ritokianus's internal monologue reveals his plans. He understands that an important operation is planned for tomorrow and has decided that Noah should not find out about it. He regretfully reports that he will be busy while on duty. Noah, hearing the refusal, coldly replies to make him forget about her offer. Her voice is filled with a note of resentment, which attracts the attention of Ritokianus. He looks at her clearly, feeling bitterness from her reaction. Returning to the table, one of the officers tries to support Noah, hinting that she might have a soft spot for Ritokianus. Her silent tension does not go unnoticed, but she tries to maintain her confidence. All the participants of the meeting look at Noah with smiles, understanding her feelings. Ritokianus, despite his restraint, also seems slightly embarrassed. This scene ends their meeting with a bit of intrigue and a hint of the continuation of the story. The young girl speaks forcefully to the officer, inspiring him to take action. However, her stern tone confuses him, and he sheepishly follows her command to lie down on the floor, justifying himself by saying that he was only caring for her. At the table, two officers are engaged in a tense conversation. The white-haired man, clearly the senior in rank, addresses his interlocutor by name, creating tension in the dialogue. The officers are discussing something important related to the plans. The white-haired man thoughtfully asks a provocative question about the meaning of the loss of one ship for the kingdom. His interlocutor, shocked by the unexpectedness, rejects the idea and asks with a smile not to dream about such a thing. On the beach, three men assess the situation. One of them asks worriedly about the presence of a tail, but is assured that there is no one nearby. Their conversation points to a hidden mission that requires caution. One of the group, a dark-haired man with a determined expression, asks where their subordinates are. His tone is wary, and the answer is a vague one, adding to the tension of the situation. As they approach the building, the group discusses the location of the personal ship. The dark-haired man, apparently the leader, defiantly chides his companions for their indecisiveness, showing confidence in his actions. Inside the building, 3 escorting officers stand at a loss in the face of the threat. Their anxiety is evident on their faces. One of them suggests stopping, but is told it is too late for regrets. The blonde officer timidly points out that even if they confess to their actions, the blame will ultimately be placed on him. His words are accompanied by a nervous expression, clearly fearful of the consequences. The leader abruptly cuts off all excuses, accusing his companions of treason. His anger and determination instill fear in his subordinates. His words clearly convey a threat, emphasizing the seriousness of the situation. In conclusion, the leader announces that they now have only 2 options: either promotion or the guillotine. His companions are stunned by such categoricalness, and their silence betrays complete shock and fear. The scene ends the narrative on a high note of tension. A man with a suitcase walks away from his house in tension, disappointedly, thinking about those he considers fools. The situation is clearly tense. He is considering a serious decision. He encounters another character who sarcastically reminds him of the possible betrayal of his companions. The man is confused, feeling the gravity of the situation. A group of people board a boat near the shore, planning to sail away as quickly as possible. The atmosphere foreshadows a dangerous undertaking. One of the participants suddenly mentions the main character's family, provoking him, as if deliberately touching on something personal. His face reflects a mixture of pain and anxiety. The host smirks evilly, mentioning that the hero got everything he wanted, but it was time to answer for his actions. His words sound like an accusation and a challenge. The men in the boat approach a large ship. As they talk among themselves, they notice that the ship belongs to the kingdom, preparing to meet. Before boarding the ship, one of them insists on checking everything first. The atmosphere becomes increasingly tense. A group of people inside the ship are clearly doing something suspicious, but they assure that everything is under control. One of them calls on everyone to cooperate with the kingdom. The hero is forced to go and check something on the ship following orders. His gaze shows hidden irritation and determination. One of the people present notices something strange, suddenly asking a disturbing question. The situation escalates, leaving a sense of impending danger. On the deck of the ship, tensions rise. Noah finds herself surrounded by a group of men who are stunned by her appearance. The tension mounts. Her presence raises questions. The men realize that she is someone from the Navy and wonder why she is on their territory. The 2 men discuss that something is wrong. They notice Noah's lack of reinforcements, which causes them to doubt and distrust. Noah looks confident and strong. She stands alone, but her determined look and readiness to fight inspire fear in her opponents. One of the men armed with daggers shows determination to deal with Noah, unaware that her preparation may exceed their expectations. One of the opponents tries to calm Noah down with words suggesting that she surrender. He tries to look seductive, but his attempt looks pathetic. Noah silently places his sword to the man's neck. His confidence instantly vanishes, and he realizes that her seriousness is not to be underestimated. Noah's expression turns cold and disdainful. She takes the gun, her mood dark, and makes it clear that she will not tolerate disdain. 2 men attack Noah with guns and shout insults. They try to take control of the situation by attacking her at the same time. Noah displays her strength and agility. She instantly neutralizes one of her opponents, leaving the other in horror at her skill and bravery. A man fights a dangerous opponent, waving his weapon furiously, his face full of determination. He is determined to defeat his enemy at any cost. He freezes, not finding an opponent. He looks at the empty space with alarm and bewilderment, holding tightly to his weapon. His companions discuss their actions in panic. One of them decisively declares that there is no other way out except to destroy the enemy. One of the hero's eyes catches on the fallen gun. He realizes that this could be a chance to change the situation. Having seized the weapon, the enemy points it at the blonde, clearly intending to end the fight. However, she is ready to defend herself. The heroine, surrounded by a magical barrier, remains confident. The men are amazed by her unexpected protection. She explains that, as a member of the fleet, she is able to use powerful magic, displaying her strength to stunned enemies. The mutineers have been arrested. They are accused of hijacking a ship and smuggling. The situation is now under control. Lieutenant General Ritokianis listens attentively to the report. He is aware that the rebels may have accomplices. The rebel ship suddenly explodes. Noah calls it an accident, with an innocent smile, leaving his enemies in shock. Ritokianus is displeased with Captain Bello's behavior, which is contrary to orders. His stern look underlines the tension of the situation. The soldiers find themselves in a difficult situation, seeing the general's displeasure. Their tension increases when Noah arrives on the scene. One of the soldiers defends himself by claiming that Captain Bello knew everything from the beginning and does not tolerate interference in her actions. Ritokianus blames his subordinates, as they helped the captain enter the armory despite the ban. The general's plan fails. He recalls that their main task was to expose the secret order through the chief of staff. To carry out his plan, Ritokianus arranges for the situation to appear as if he accidentally dropped the key to the warehouse at a party. The key ends up in the hands of a spy who was supposed to pass it on to Farhat, completing the general's clever combination. After completing his mission, General Flancy was arrested as he turned out to be a pawn in Ritokianus's strategic game. The arrest of the traitors and their allies is the final stage of the operation. Preparations for their capture are underway at the border crossing point. Noah appears at the end, addressing Ritokianus. Her presence adds uncertainty to the outcome of the situation. Noah, feeling deeply hurt, turns to Ritokianus with reproach, reminding him of her help. She waits for an answer, but the silence intensifies her anger. Ritokianus looks at Noah with a cold expression, not reacting to her words. His silence only fuels her displeasure, making her question his sincerity. Noah is furious and accuses Ritokianus of betrayal. She believes he hid the truth and rejected her efforts, causing an emotional outburst. The girl yells at him, claiming that his indifference demonstrates a complete disregard for her conditions, which seems like a real humiliation to her. Noah expresses her frustration by shouting, her voice shaking and her face contorted in pain, highlighting her genuine hurt. One of the officers tries to intervene, calling Noah Captain Bello. He tries to prevent the conflict from escalating, clearly concerned about what is happening. Another group of officers decides to move away from the scene of the conflict, intending to discuss the situation at headquarters. Their seriousness hints at the importance of further discussion. Ritokianus realizes that the situation is threatening to turn into a catastrophe. His thoughts race through his head, but his face shows restrained anxiety. The headquarters receives a report from the military police about the general's illegal actions. The details of the case point to hidden financial machinations. Ritokianus, lying on the couch, looks depressed as he takes in what is happening. He understands that the consequences of these events could be extremely serious. In a spacious office, an officer reports on the data received from Captain Bella, which revealed illegal transactions. His seriousness underlines the importance of the information. The Lieutenant General, Ritokianus, looks thoughtful and focused. He dares to ask a question, but his restraint betrays concern about appearing rude. Ritokianus sits in a chair pondering his actions. His eyes are doubtful, and he wonders if he deserves what has happened to him. The scene takes a comical turn when Ritokianus cartoonishly admits that he spent the entire night crying, which eases the tension. Gathering his courage, Ritokianus covers his face with his hand, and with a heavy sigh, tries to regain his seriousness, preparing to listen to his colleague. Ritokianus's interlocutor emphasizes that Captain Bella is strong and independent, which makes him admire and respect her professionalism. In remembering Bella, Ritokianus notes her virtues: unwavering honesty, outstanding abilities, and an inner pride that make her unique. Ritokianus expresses concern about the captain's actions, but his colleague gently reminds him of her free-spirited nature and ability to handle challenges. With a slight smile, the Lieutenant General realizes that his naivety in assessing the situation prevents him from fully understanding the motives of others. Captain Bella is a daring and freedom-loving woman capable of unexpected actions. Ritokianus tries to understand Noah, reminding her that her actions and words can hurt those close to her. He looks thoughtful and worried. Ritokianus admits that he is aware of his mistakes. His facial expression conveys an internal struggle and a desire to correct his actions. Ritokianus reflects on his limited knowledge, trusting the stories of others, without delving into the details, which raises doubts about his approach. His words are tinged with irony, as he notes that his behavior seems natural, but he is haunted by the thought of how he is seen from the outside. Ritokianus sits alone, pondering the contradiction of inflicting pain to protect loved ones. His doubts deepen He acknowledges himself as the embodiment of contradictions. A bitter smile appears on his face. This emphasizes his internal disunity. Ritokianus harshly calls Noah out on her behavior, highlighting his insolence and disobedience to orders, which highlights their difficult relationship. Noah, realizing her guilt, apologizes. Her posture and gaze show humility and willingness to admit her mistakes. Ritokianus sternly reminds Noah of the military's responsibility for using weapons, pointing out the possible consequences. Noah confidently states that she is ready to accept punishment, demonstrating her responsibility and strength of character, despite the difficult situation. Ritokianus notices blood on Noah's hand and asks how she is feeling. She assures him that it is the enemy's blood, and there is no cause for concern. Ritokianus addresses Noah as captain, apologizing for what happened. She firmly promises to be more careful in the future so that something like this does not happen again. Ritokianus acknowledges that Noah is angry with him, but has no intention of apologizing. His certainty in his position only angers her more. Noah asks indignantly why Ritokianus decided to act quietly. He replies that he did not want to attract unnecessary attention. Ritokianus explains that the operation involved uncovering traitors, so he was extremely careful information could fall into enemy hands. Noah ponders Ritokianus's words, understanding the logic behind his actions. However, she wants to hear it straight from his mouth. Noah asks him one last question: why she wasn't included in his plan. Her voice is full of bitterness and resentment. Ritokianus remains silent, and Noah despairingly states that the question was too difficult for him. She furiously asks when he will admit his feelings. Noah takes his silence as an answer and decides that she has understood everything. Ritokianus tries to stop her, but words come hard to him. Ritokianus reaches out to Noah, trying to explain herself, but her resolve grows. She no longer wants to wait for answers that will never come. Noah reaches out to Ritokianus, begging him to explain if her assumptions are wrong. She yearns for even a spark of truth from him. She asks if he is happy with her, if he has any regrets, revealing her confusion. Her voice is full of pain and hope. Ritokianus distances himself from her. Confused, she asks why he has suddenly become so cold and indifferent to their relationship. She remembers his previous care when he seemed unable to live without her. However, now his true feelings have become a secret. He has awakened affection and passion in her, but his indifference hurts her. She realizes the depth of her conflicting emotions. Her pain turns into despair. She believes that it would be better if he used her and abandoned her than left her to drown in her own melancholy. Realizing her humiliation, Noah admits that she was the only one who fell in love and was left with nothing in this relationship. She reproaches Ritokianus for playing on her feelings, pretending to be the victim in their agreement to make it look like he was giving in. Noah decides to end this painful story. She is tired and announces that it is time for her to return to headquarters, giving up on further fighting. Ritokianus is shocked by her decision and offers to take her. Noah, leaving this episode behind, continues on his way alone. Ritokianus and Noah part ways at the bridge. Noah is devastated, realizing that their relationship is over, and there is nothing left between them. Returning home, Noah reflects bitterly on her stupidity and self-critically realizes how much of a mistake she made. The painful awareness of her actions leaves Noah feeling physically weak. She lies in bed covered, struggling with tormenting thoughts. Clara bursts into Noah's room, concerned about her condition. The sister immediately notices that something is wrong with Noah and tries to help. Clara cautiously asks Noah why she didn't go to work, suspecting that the reason is because she's feeling unwell. After examining Noah, Clara is alarmed by her hot forehead. She tries to understand what happened and is clearly concerned about her sister's condition. Noah, despite his weakness, tries to make fun of her by asking Clara playful questions about his ability to make money, but her tone indicates fatigue. Clara reacts with caution to Noah's joke, but realizes that her sister is just trying to relieve tension and relaxes a little. Ace enters the room to remind Clara that it is time for her to go to school. Clara hesitates, but the situation requires her presence. Clara, not wanting to leave her sister alone, desperately tries to help her, while Ace convinces her to leave the room. Noah feels depressed. Ace helps Clara get ready for school, insisting on hurrying. Noah, remaining in bed, asks to remind her about her medications and to inform the military. Noah's tired expression turns serious. She orders Ace to contact the military, immediately emphasizing the importance of the situation. Noah, lying in bed, hears a familiar voice, which makes her anxious. She tries to remember who it belongs to. A man with white hair appears on the territory of the house Ace, and Clara meet him. The man greets them politely, calling them by name. Clara, indignant, asks the man if he is the cause of her sister's illness. Her straightforwardness surprises and causes slight confusion. Clara's indignation grows. She screams, threatening the man. Ace is shocked, tries to restrain her, warning her about her damaged eyesight from anger. Clara, ignoring Ace's comments, decides that today she is ready to spill someone's blood. Ace, confused, does not intervene. The man keeps his cool, apologizing for the situation. Ace holds Clara back, begging her to calm down despite her outrage. A man comes to see a sick Noah. She lies in bed and sarcastically asks why he dared to come into her room. The man standing by the bed explains that he has received permission to come. His calmness puzzles Noah. Ritokianus enters Noah's room, his red eyes scanning the room. Noah lies under the covers, her gaze wary. He reminds her who is boss, but the tension is palpable in his voice. Noah reflects on how his behavior has changed. She notices that he no longer mentions her sister, which used to be inevitable. Ritokianus sits down at the table and answers her silent question with a slight smile. He points out that she should have been more careful and taken care of herself earlier. He sits down on the bed, his gaze becoming thoughtful. Ritokianus realizes that he has missed a lot and should have noticed important things earlier. Noah, covered with a blanket, asks him in a reserved tone why he came. Her tone is cold, but there is hidden emotion in her voice. Ritokianus replies that he has no intention of throwing her out. He emphasizes that if the head of the house has allowed her presence, he cannot throw her out. He thinks back to Mrs. Clara, trying to imagine what Noah was like as a child. He's sure she was a sweetheart despite her current stern appearance. Noah turns to him coldly, asking why he is really here. She wants to hear the truth, her eyes staring at him. Ritokianus admits that he came out of concern. However, he understands that Noah will not believe his words, even if he says that he loves her. To this, Noah sarcastically responds that it sounds pathetic. She notes that she is glad he realized this, but her tone remains distant and uncompromising. Noah, lying in bed, noticed the tiredness on Ritokianus's face. He admitted that he had not slept all night, obviously worried about the situation. Ritokianus came to Noah to apologize. His words sounded sincere, but his eyes were strained with remorse. The lieutenant general explained that General Flancy had used Noah to manipulate him. This revelation added weight to their conversation. Ritokianus revealed the truth about Flancy's corrupt practices. He had been embezzling money from the army for a long time and had connections with smugglers. Noah learned that Flancy was trying to frame her, the soldiers under his command, falsified evidence against her in order to eliminate her. Despite these intrigues, Noah would normally have been promoted to major. She was temporarily transferred to headquarters away from threats. The lieutenant general admitted that Flancy had practically taken control of the situation. His smile betrayed ulterior motives. Noah was indignant. Because of Ritokianus, her promotion was delayed. It seemed unfair to her to be a pawn in someone else's games. Ritokianus agreed that his decision had been a mistake, but admitted that he had deliberately held her back to protect her from greater harm. Looking at Noah's sword, he noted her strange attachment to the weapon. This moment again highlighted their different views on what was happening. Noah lay in bed, weak and exhausted, but trying to remain calm. Ritokianus worriedly inquired about her well-being. The man smiled slightly as he heard her feel a little better, his red eyes sparkling against the soft light of the room. In the semi-darkness of the room, he reminded Noah of his past, telling him that he was the adopted son of the Marquis of Oceanus. In response to her surprised look, he explained that, as a child, he was homeless and lived on the streets until the Marquis saved him. With sadness in his voice, he admitted that he could have died if not for the kindness of the Marquis, which radically changed his fate. His gaze became more serious as he remembered how his biological father left him with his mother, who soon died as well. He admitted that since then he has been afraid to get close to people, fearing to lose them, as happened in the past. Ritokianus noted that his story might be boring, but for him, these memories remained very important. He added quietly that Noah could now leave him if he wished, but there was a note of tenderness in his words. However, seeing her determination, he finally felt relieved as he sat next to her and watched her strength and determination. Noah furiously accuses Ritokianis of hypocrisy. Understanding his attempts to manipulate her pity, Rhett laughs, enjoying her reaction. Noah, in a rage, calls him a scoundrel, her blue eyes blazing with anger. This only increases his amusement. Rhett admits that he is pleased by her anger because it means that she cares about him. His touch on her hand adds intrigue. In a playful argument, Noah calls Rhett a pervert, and he only agrees, not hiding his pleasure from her words. She can't help but feel emotional, but her gaze softens as he wraps her in a warm embrace. Rhett assures Noah that only he can take care of a wayward person like her. This touches her heart. He says that her anger at him only confirms how much she cares about him while hugging her tenderly. Rhett notes how much he enjoys watching her sincere reactions to his every action. Her sweetness brings a warm smile to his face. Noah sheepishly calls him a pervert again, but the atmosphere between them becomes more and more cozy and trusting. Looking closely at Rhett, Noah asks him a question about love, feeling a mixture of hope and distrust. Noah remembers the moment she first met Ritokianis. The warmth of his gaze and touch fills her heart with light like fireworks. Ritokianis confesses his love. His vow sounds sincere, and Noah, slightly embarrassed, looks into his eyes, feeling warmth in her chest. Noah reflects on her indecision. Her room is immersed in a cozy semi-darkness, as if reflecting her doubts and conflicting feelings. She realizes that this may have been her last chance to give up Ritokianis. But in the face of feelings, they both take a step towards each other. The realization comes too late. The sun's light illuminates an empty room, symbolizing missed opportunities and irreversible decisions. A discussion breaks out in the barracks. Rumors of Noah's affair with Ritokianis leave her fellow soldiers perplexed and worried about her fate. Noah, tired of all this talk, tries to remain calm. Her gaze, filled with slight fatigue, speaks of an internal struggle. Her colleague Ami jokes, teasing Noah, but it only brings embarrassment. Her emotions reflect a mixture of irritation and surprise. Ami hints that the lieutenant general has been secretly visiting Noah. The slight mockery causes indignation, and her words seem to pique the curiosity of the others. Excitement flares among the co-workers. They discuss their bets, which only increases Noah's excitement. The look on her face suggests that the situation is getting out of control. The city's majestic architecture becomes the backdrop for a discussion of the fate of the stolen ship. Ami shares rumors of Admiral Abello's harsh orders. Noah asks anxiously, what will happen to the knights, apparently fearing for their fate? Her face expresses tension and curiosity. Ami explains that the knights belonging to the royal order have been sent to the capital under guard, emphasizing their special status. The past is revealed. The knights were threatened and forced to participate in the crime. Now their information can mitigate the punishment. Noah, reflecting on what happened, suspects that Rhett interfered with the situation. Her internal monologue shows her anxiety. Ami tries to distract her friend from work by offering to share personal news. There is a light, friendly atmosphere between them. Teasingly, Ami asks if Noah has managed to mend fences with the lieutenant general. Her smile radiates friendliness. Noah seems unwilling to reveal her feelings, avoiding the topic, despite her friend's good-natured pressure. Ami assures Noah that as a best friend, she can be a confidant, enhancing the feeling of closeness and understanding. After a short dialogue, Noah admits that she has indeed reconciled with the lieutenant general. Her face lights up with a sense of relief and joy. The girl condemns the senior officer for his cunning, while he rejoices in earning money. The atmosphere is light with elements of irony. Another officer stands by the door, distrustfully discussing the situation. A conversation can be heard in the room, which makes him tense. The focus is on a man with white hair. He calmly answers the phone, confirming the instructions he has received. The white-haired officer comes out of the office, meeting his colleague. Their eyes meet, and the conversation becomes tense. In response to a colleague's question, the lieutenant general notes the excessive pickiness and strictness of his superiors, which makes him smile slightly. They continue their discussion, and the officer notices that the admiral, despite the difficult situation, remains confident and strict. The green-haired officer suspects the admiral's motives and hints at possible betrayal. His words sound like a challenge. The atmosphere becomes tense. One of the heroes notices the admiral's suspicious behavior, which increases his doubts. The arrested man's hands are shown tied behind his back. The chief discusses the reasons for the arrest, emphasizing the importance of further investigation. Ritokianus emphasizes that the situation is far from over, hinting at future difficulties and the uncovering of new conspiracies. A conspiracy involving one of the fleet's admirals and 2 knights of the royal order causes alarm among the participants of the meeting. Ritokianus and his associates try to figure out why these particular figures are involved in the case, doubting their true intentions. The idea of a merger between military forces and a knightly order surprises Ritokianus. He does not understand how such a thing could be possible. Against the backdrop of calm seas, the possibility of new accomplices is discussed, hinting at a hidden threat beyond the obvious. The green-haired commander asks about the next steps. Not hiding his concern, Ritokianus makes an unexpected decision. The lieutenant general announces his intention to begin preparations for the wedding, filling the situation with unexpected lightness and emotional change. Noah expresses confusion over Ritokianus's decision to marry. She is unsure how much his decision relates to current events. Ami, present at the conversation, exclaims that Noah forgot how sincerely Ritokianus proposed to her, emphasizing its seriousness. Reflecting on their reconciliation, Ami points out that after such a turn of events, marriage might be a logical step to strengthen the relationship. Noah admits that her anger has blinded her in recent days. She recalls Ritokianus's offer, realizing her mistake and accepting his decision. Noah wonders if the girl will forgive her lover and marry him, her eyes full of doubts and thoughts about the past. In the dorm, the girls discuss their dreams outside the military. Ami asks Noah what she would like to do, and tension fills the room.